course, the one thing I
The
forget,
music.
Chatfish, hello.
Rumble.
No,
Hello. You forgot the music, didn't you?
I didn't. Yeah, it's the music. It's always the music. Hello, Chatfish. I forgot to turn on the music. Today we're going
Can
to be
they hear
talking
us as
about.
well?
Yes, they can.
Okay, good.
If they could hear you yesterday, they can hear you today.
I turned the music down.
Yeah, that's too loud. Also, if it is too loud, do let me know.
I am.
I was listening to the Kingdom Come Deliverance track, so that's why it's turned up. Welcome, Chatfishes. We're going to talk about quite a bit of subjects today. I like how it tells me that I'm live on Twitch or Twitter. That's so cool. Thank you for letting me know that. I forgot that I even streamed there. I have it automated, so I don't even know. Welcome, little fishies. I hope you had a good day and a good week. God, come on. Normally, the intros are actually pretty easy.
Normally.
Excuse me. Okay.
Second.
So, today we're going to talk about Bungie a little bit, and we're going to talk about a couple other companies. But the reason why we're going to talk about Bungie is because Bungie used to make some of my most favorite games, and games that I discovered later in life, like Myth, which is one of my favorite RTSs of all time now. Or one of them. It's on the top tier. But, like, this guy here is basically sort of, he was an art director, an artist. He joined around Myth Soulblighter 2, and he eventually got canceled. And that's what basically saw him leave Bungie. And there's a whole fucking back and forth. He's like suing Sony over this and stuff and whatnot. And it's kind of, I don't know, I guess that you could say ironic, because he is of a certain persuasion, and the leaks that are coming out about the things he has done is, I think, it matches. And I also looked up his wife, and his wife is also responsible for doing, I think, the same thing to someone else as well. So it's one of those cases where it's like, he's not necessarily a good individual here. It's just one of those cases where you have somebody who's hit on women, 8 women, in fact, and basically used his career and position to try to push himself forward. And it looks pretty clear cut and dry in this case, because when you actually look at the stuff and the leaks that have been coming out about what he has said, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Let's find the one where he says, where is it? Yeah, so Barrett asks his victim 1 to play Truth or Dare. Now, what I find interesting is that Sony is dropping all this information pretty much.
Yep.
Which
They're just
in
the public eye.
Which I kind of almost, I don't know how to, like, I don't know. You know what, fuck it. Let's just read this and we'll talk about what Sony did. Hit on women or hit women? This guy's also allegedly married, or not allegedly, he is married. I don't know why I say allegedly.
Allegedly, he's married. Allegedly, he has loved this woman for the past couple years.
No, that's more allegedly, yes. Barrett asked victim 1 to play Truth or Dare over a text message and inquired, what do you think is your best and worst feature physically? See what I mean?
He later told her in a text that she was hot.
This is one of those cases of cancellation where it's like the shoe's on the other foot, now you get what you deserve kind of cases, because these are the same people who cancel other people. Despite victim 1's explicit request in writing for Barrett to recognize boundaries, he called her late at night while drunk, and after keeping her on FaceTime for hours, moved down a dark hallway to his bedroom and suggestively told her, "I can't believe I'm lying in bed talking to victim 1. She abruptly hung up. This guy is just real. I'm surprised he got married. This is so bad. Victim 2. Instagram direct messages stating, "You are the holy grail. I hope you find a person worthy of your attention," and qualified it with, "I'm not hitting on you. I hope it doesn't feel like that. I'm married, but I can be honest. You are the 0.000001 and better be treated like that forever." When victim 2 responded that her boyfriend treats her very well, Barrett responded, "He better, because I would hit on you if he wasn't." This is really bad.
Wow.
I guess he gets drunk and just texts girls more often than not.
Imagine being victim 2.
I'm married.
Imagine being named victim number 8. There are 8 victims in this thing. This guy really wants to put his schlong in another girl
Now,
and is not very good at it.
they're named victims when they have not officially come forward or like publicly, but like have submitted their complaints.
Yes.
So
which
there could be
number were you, Reguline?
many more.
I was number 9.
I was number 9, Squealy.
He's going to sexually harass me next.
He's gonna.
It's really weird. I got hired by him the other day.
He'd only do that if he wasn't married, though.
If he wasn't married, he wouldn't do that if he was married.
So somebody asked, "Isn't this from a few months ago?" Yes, it is. The initiating of the lawsuit is from a few months ago, but this is currently Sony dropping actual confirmation that this guy was a terrible person.
Yeah,
just recently.
And so what I find amazing about this, well, I normally criticize Sony and I don't like what Sony does quite a bit because they make some stupid decisions, but in this case, this is fucking funny. Sony just takes this stuff and just looks at Barrett and just drops it publicly while staring at him just to see his reaction.
You want to see this? All right.
Oh my god. Now,
I'll just release all the information.
As far as games industry stuff, this stuff does matter because it doesn't mean there's going to be a massive change in leadership within Bungie, by the way. There's also probably going to be investigations as to if anybody knew about what Barrett was doing and did anybody do anything about it, because as we know, a lot of the good people in Bungie got pushed out over the years, right? And Barrett is kind of responsible for that. So
he at least played a part in it.
He definitely did, and his wife is a little sussy baka too. And so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, this is definitely justice in a way, like poetic, but the real question is, will it make people look at their previous allegations, especially his wife, and like what they had did, and be like, put some second thoughts to it, whether it was legitimate or not.
The big thing here is that Marty O'Donnell got out of Bungie at the right time.
He did. Thank fucking God. Martin O'Donnell is the for those who don't know, Martin O'Donnell is the composer for Myth, and more importantly, Halo. And while I do like Myth, his work on Myth and Halo is instrumental as to why those games are like have what we call the legendary status they do. They have some of the best game music. Like Myth has a track in it that was so goddamn good about the fall of one city that it was so good they put it in Halo because it was just like, why not? It's just amazing. Like they've got so much. Like Martin O'Donnell is a savant when it comes to music. There's like, I have a couple favorite game composers. Jeff Van Dyke, Frank Klepacki, and Martin O'Donnell are definitely among the top. Jeremy Soule as well, because these people are just amazing composers.
So one of the biggest things is that where this firing and then lawsuit came out of was the fact that Destiny was shitting the bed and was failing to meet its requirements. And so Sony's representatives went to California and were like, hey, if you don't get your shit together, we're going to start taking direct control over what you're doing. And then Destiny ended up flopping again on its whatever its release was.
Newest expansion.
Yep.
Yeah. And then ever since then, Sony announced restructuring of fucking Bungie, and they're going through and cutting the fat. And I'm assuming that direct oversight into everything is why they're no longer getting the leeway to do all this and why he got kicked out.
Yep. It also probably would help spark the investigation too, because they're also looking at this guy. Because if I remember right, he initiated the lawsuit against Sony, and so Sony's like, "Oh, you want to play that game?" Like, and so Sony launched an investigation into him, and the investigation found quite a bit of dirt when people started getting asked about Barrett's behavior.
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind that the people within Bungie are all obviously questionable as is, right? But when there's this many stories, and this is coming from the same guy who basically like cheered on like the cancellation of like his fellows, like it kind of is well deserved. It's like getting what you deserve. Because let's just, we'll just wrap up this because we haven't done all the victim stuff. Brett similarly told Victim 3, I hope your boyfriend doesn't mind I text you a lot, and I just worry. Like, I really enjoy texting you and talking. I don't want him to get the right idea.
The right idea.
The right idea.
That's a fucking... Later in the conversation, when Victim 3 told Barrett she was busy, Brett stated, I want your attention. So annoying. He's just creepy.
A sex pest.
Yes.
Like he's trying to get into these girls' good graces. It's funny.
I know. I think he just wants the vag is what.
Yep, he wants, as Bino would call it, the poos poos. That's all he wants. During a game of Ask Me Anything, instigated by Barrett. Notice how instigated by him, because he is the active member in this whole fucking thing. By Barrett, likes to play little games.
Force girls into games.
Yep, and games that can get
a
sexual.
Plausible deniability.
Yep.
Yeah.
Instigated by Barrett over Microsoft Teams messages, Barrett told Victim 4, I can see you wearing devil horns, and I have so many crazy stories. I'm sure you have a few. Crying, laughing emoji. The insinuation here is that it's like, ooh, you're, naughty. But I have also naughty stories. Let's share these dirty, sexy stories and get horny together.
Everything he's doing is a vehicle in which to sexually...
Open a door.
Open a door, yeah. That's all he's doing.
In another Microsoft Teams exchange, Barrett asked Victim 4, are you still in PJs? And is it like a button-down top and bottoms? Sweet pants? Lululemons? The Lululemons part.
Sweatpants, Kibbs.
I know, sweatpants. I know I said sweet pants. I don't like how the E and A and these are so fucking jammed close together, okay?
Well, while I was reading them, because your head's covering the pants part, I just read sweet Lululemons.
Sweet
Lululemons.
So I had a whole different connotation to what that was reading.
Lululemons are a brand.
Yeah, brand.
Bond knows about them.
Of course she
knows.
Not surprised.
She knows
Lululemons.
She knows everything about fucking lemons.
Lemons, lemon-themed things, lemons. But yeah.
Pepper steppers and all this shit.
Basically, I think we can safely say that this guy has a lot of dirt in the thing. Well, I'm definitely not hitting on you. The fucking when I'm definitely not hitting on you thing is just fucking funny as shit.
If you didn't have, he better be fucking taking care of you, because I would hit on you if he wasn't.
But he said that I'm definitely not hitting on you, like literally 2 lines before. Like, the guy is so thirsty, he can't keep his goddamn fucking head straight. He's just immediately horn dogging. Yeah.
He's
honestly,
just like Squealy, for real.
This is a rare Sony W in this particular case, where Sony drops something and it's fucking funny. It's fucking funny.
Sony finally found somebody worse than them.
They did, and it's Barrett. Oh my god, I can't quite get over it.
You say he was drunk. He was writing it. The first one was. We don't know about the second one.
Yeah, okay, let's read the statement.
Sony continues to disingenuously cherry pick text messages and this is from his legal team, by the way.
Yep.
Oh god, this is fucking rich though. Sony continues to disingenuously cherry pick text messages and alleged conversations and making unsupported conclusory statements to defame Christopher and justify terminating him to avoid paying him what he was owed under his employment agreements. It is telling that Sony does not include the full text messages as exhibits or the full content of these conversations, and nothing in Sony's response provides a legitimate legal or factual basis to terminate Christopher for cause. Christopher is confident that when all evidence is presented, it will be clear that Sony engaged in a scheme to strip him of his role and the equity awards he earned for his 25 years of loyal service to the company.
Mm-hmm. So, chat, understand, just because there may be more of these text messages doesn't mean he's not guilty. It just means that the victims are also guilty and should be fired.
Yep.
But he's also like the head guy. He is like so far above these women or dudes, because I have no idea, because they're victims, not necessarily women, that there's no way in hell that they could like consent to this because of the power wielded over him.
Yes. So, gotta remember, chat, that when he joined Myth, he joined as an artist, and then he later ascended higher into the team. And
After
basically,
25 years of work, yeah.
he became the director and was actually the executive creative director of the upcoming Marathon game. Executive creative director means that he has basically climbed his way to the top after 25 years. He is now spearheading his own project. That is every developer's dream, to become a creative executive at some point, to actually spearhead your own dream project or dream game.
Yep.
So he climbed all the way to the top. The amount of power he wielded in that particular time as director and creative director and a creative executive director is monumental. He is basically the big cheese. And what he says usually goes in the project. If you want something in the game, like a certain design, like for example, my position within Battle Limit Studios is that exactly. If Carlos or Chumba want something in the game, they gotta go to me and they gotta ask for it. Because I greenlight it, and if I greenlight it, that's the kind of power I have. That's the kind of power that Barrett has. Except he has it inside of a massive company, and it's fucking massive. So
like, if Kibbs is sitting there and Squealy goes, "Hey, I really want this character idea in the game," and then Kibbs goes, "Well, how much do you really want those coconuts?"
how much you those Squilly? Let's play a game of truth or dare.
Oh, no,
And
not
that's
again.
basically yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's basically
Okay. Now that fucking Rapier brings that up, do you remember the story of the Vulpix plush? Do you remember that story?
Oh no.
No, not again.
so. But that's basically the thing going on. The power he wields, and Who's says it depends on the cause of firing and if it was message, if it was right. But if he was fired over goals, he should be in the legal right. No. Here's the issue, chat. Companies will sit on allegations and HR stuff until you have accrued enough to where they can hang the sort of Damocles above your head. That and they will hold that there in case you fuck up and cause reputational damage to the company, or you're just hemorrhaging money, and then they'll use it to get rid of you. Now, that's what HR departments are for. They're not there to help anybody. They're there to help the company.
Yep.
And if that company is Sony, well, Sony is going to wield that power.
Well, that's actually case in point here, right? So when he left the company initially, there wasn't any complaints because he was being quiet. Then, when he launched his lawsuit, that changed. Sony didn't bring up any of this information until after the lawsuit. So it's like one of those cases of like Sony now realizing that, okay, you want to play this game? We can play this game, and you're not going to win. You're not going to. They've effectively like brought down the sword of Damocles now on him. Like his career is effectively over.
Yeah, and it's plausible deniability. Even if they did do it for the goals, there is a legitimate reason to fire him over HR reasons. So there's that. So there's no getting around it because they can just plausibly deny it in court.
Yep.
And then that's why they're bringing out all this stuff in public, because now that it's public, he's also damaging their reputation by forcing them to go public, quote unquote, forcing with it. So.
Yep. And so now Sony's reputation, when they went public with the lawsuit, a lot of people would go on Christopher's side because, well, here's this guy who worked on Myth, who worked on Halo, right? And so the first thought that's going to cross your mind, which is the exact first thought that crossed my mind, is like, oh, that's sad. But then you have to remember, well, this guy still works there. What happened to all the other good people that worked there? Well, they got kicked out. Well, why is he still sticking around?
Yep.
It's because he was one of the people doing the kicking out, pushing people out, because that happens internally where there's disputes. Like Christopher wanted his own pet projects to go forward, and he didn't like the competition, so he slowly but surely removed them and replaced them. And so you have a case of, basically poetic justice in this particular regard. This guy is kind of sketchy, and with all these allegations coming out and the way it looks, like even with the context, those texts, it's too damning. Those texts, and considering that they don't deny that those texts actually happen, in the
They said they
legal team.
cherry picked.
They said they cherry picked, and it's without a doubt. Yeah, they did cherry pick, without a doubt. But that context would not change anything, because what he said was too damning. What he did was too bad. He is already, without context, and any of his interactions, is being a sex pest. Period. There's nothing to dispute there. And not only is he being a sex pest, but yeah, you got to remember, chat, right? Like, yeah, they're gonna say, oh, he's cherry picking. Like a lot of other texts, he was like probably just asking about work things. Well, yeah,
The one there he said the victim, I think 1 or 2, said, "Hey, I have clear boundaries. I need you to stop doing this."
Asked
That
him to
was
stop,
that
yeah.
was yeah, that was it. That was the kill shot in and of itself. That's what they put it up top.
Yep, because victim 1 was the strongest target, or strongest bolt, I guess you could say, with which to pound him into the cross. Because victim 1, basically, what that does is it basically just destroys him. Like, it's over. It's just bad. I can't believe I'm lying in bed. It's just like fucking Jesus. Like, just reading these things.
Yep,
It's just bad. He is
very bad.
being unfaithful to his wife, firstly. Not only is he being unfaithful to his wife, he is also trying to get other women to cheat on their spouses or their lovers. That is incredibly disgusting behavior. I don't even care about anything else at that point. That kind of behavior is just, it's toxic to your team, it's toxic to the studio, and it kind of explains why Bungie is in the state that it's in. And honestly, what Sony is doing by trying to get rid of him and basically destroy him with this stuff is actually good. Because fuck this guy.
Yeah. Chat. Here. Let me let you in on a little secret here. Avoid any workplace contact with females alone,
Yes.
or men, or whatever you're interested in. Yeah, your workplace is not your fuck ground. Stay away from it.
Yeah, no. Never ever enter, like, what do you call it? Sexual relations with that woman, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's why workplace relationships are dangerous. Like, it's just not a good idea. Because I had friends that did that, and that always ended really poorly. Because even when it does, if it doesn't work out, like, it's awkward. Especially when somebody moves up in the ladder of power. Because that's your lover, you're obviously gonna favor them. It's just how that goes.
That being said, people much higher above you are usually partaking in that anyway.
And chat, think about this across the entire industry, because that's what it was. This was people who are running a business thinking they're rock stars, and then treating people like they're groupies.
Yep. This is the what we call the gaming rock star period. So my uncle wasn't cringe and woke. It would be nice to interview him about that, and still around. But yeah, in the games industry, one thing I learned from my uncle when talking to him about this sort of stuff was that yes, when it came to a lot of like how people, like when they started rising up, like from Baldur's Gate, like 1 to 2, or from other games, is they've all sort of developed this sort of culture where they abuse drugs. And not only would they abuse drugs, but very much became like a rock culture. Like, you're at the top. You're literally a rock star in development. And you kind of see that rock star era of game development dying out. And that's for the best, honestly. The reason why that's for the best, Chad, is because a lot of those people that climbed up to the top are this very same people that sold out, by the way. And that sold us down the river. So, remember that. Never forgive that. But yeah, it's one of those cases where I think this will be interesting because this is going to definitely shake up Marathon. Bear in mind though that we did read that he had 9 months of creative director role on Marathon. 9 months in a large studio with lots of resources, which means a lot of the foundation was set up by him. Now, whoever steps in to take over, it's going to be interesting where they take things, right? Are they going to continue down the path that Barrett had set up, or are they going to do something different here? Because while all this, like, this stuff does matter, because this whole debacle has now reshaped Bungie. It's not only reshaped Bungie, but it also is going to determine what's going to happen with the upcoming Marathon game and the revival of Marathon. Because this,
also, you need to fire all of the women victims as well,
Yep.
or let them go, give them a severance package, because at this point in time, they are now in a lawsuit. They're also so they're untouchable in any other way, and any pushback they get for their ideas is going to cause issues.
Yep. Because now they got the victim thing. They're too much of a danger to the team. Yeah, so Bungie is in a rough way, now that Sony has brought down the sort of Damocles. But now is the best chance for Bungie to change, and Bungie desperately needs to change. So they
It
need to
really
restructure. They should, if Sony was smart, and I really hope Sony does this, Sony needs to go and start gutting Bungie and start planting in new people back into Bungie. And maybe Sony can actually do some outreach here. Sony can do some repair work. They can start doing outreach to people who previously worked for Bungie way before Barrett, or well, not way before Barrett because he was around since Myth 2. But start bringing back
Before
people,
he was in leadership.
start bringing back certain talent people that Barrett helped push out. And then restart Marathon. It's only 9 months of development time. Yeah, it's going to reset the clock, but like Barrett is the guy who also has been leading Destiny off a cliff. And so do you really want to keep his vision of what the new Marathon game was supposed to be about? Maybe the new Marathon game should get a little bit of fresh perspective. Rebuild it, restructure it from the ground up. And Bungie could definitely use a shakeup of its team. It's got some interesting artwork and art teams, and it's got some decent music and stuff, composer-wise, but it needs a shakeup. This was the studio that brought us Myth. This is the studio that brought us fucking Halo. This is the studio which legacy saved Xbox, an entire console, and secured secured Xbox's basically crown in the, I think, 7th gen. I believe it's 7th.
The 360 era, yeah.
Yes, because PlayStation held the market in the previous generation, and I believe that's 6th gen. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I might be fucking up the numbers here. They held the crown. It was Halo that broke that fucking crown that Sony had, and Sony very quickly built that up with PlayStation 1. They've been holding on to that crown for a while, for 2 generations. So this studio has a legacy. It's important that they try to refine that culture that was lost and rebuild and restructure it. And now is the time for new blood. We've talked about before, what it's like to lose people, but now it's time to build something new from the ground up. And now is the best time to do it. Now that they brought down the Sword of Damocles. I love that phrase so much, goddamn Bucky.
You do, you fucking weeaboo.
Yeah,
Now,
he just copies
we
whatever.
are on the 7th generation. That's
Well,
Xbox
hold on.
360 is.
Yep.
7th generation.
I just want to point out the Sword of Damocles is not weeb. If anything, it's Greek.
Yeah, it's Greek.
Grekaboo.
No.
There you go.
Also,
But said in a Chunibu way, so we.
yeah. Also, Kibbs, you don't like extraction shooters?
That's not true. I mean, the
Give us
problem.
one.
I like extraction shooters like Helldivers. I like Left 4 Dead, but the big thing is when it comes to that genre, it's been stagnant. Everything was Left 4 Dead regurgitated. Vermintide, Darktide, World War Z. All of them were just, hey, here's
Really?
Left 4 Dead again.
The only other one that actually stands out is Deep Rock Galactic.
Yep,
because they tried to do something
tunneling.
different.
Yep. And so the only 2 new extraction shooters that are actually good is Deep Rock Galactic and Helldivers. Because they did
And they're not
something.
made by AAA studios, they're made by smaller studios.
Yeah, Arrowhead, yes, has a AAA publisher, but is definitely not a AAA studio. Now that's going to change, by the way. Deep Rock Galactic had a AA publisher, Coffee Stain, and was made by Ghost Ship, I believe is the developer's name. And they did a pretty goddamn good job with Deep Rock Galactic.
Yes, it was Ghost Ship.
I think Ghost Ship really needs to up their game, though, because Helldivers is pretty powerful competition. They've basically stolen the crown off of DRG's head and are now wearing it.
They've been working on random other side games, as far as I'm aware.
Yep.
Mostly.
They
I
really
think,
need to get
I think
another
they're gonna
one.
do they're gonna do a cooperation. I don't know if you just said this, but with Deep Rock Galactic soon.
DRG's been wanting to.
Yeah,
They've been publicly saying that they'd be open to the idea, which means that they are basically looking at Arrowhead Susan and like winking, like, "Hey, Mana, want to collaborate?"
It's also possible they're just using that as a method to gauge interest.
Yes.
But
We'll have to see what they actually do, if they actually do a collaboration or not. It would be, I think it would be interesting if they did, but based on Pilestat's previous statement about how their studio wants to follow a policy of whatever fits the setting goes, that means that it wouldn't be dwarves that would be the collaborative element. It would be like some sort of thing. I'm not entirely sure.
It wouldn't really work. I can't think of anything in DOD that would really fit the Helldivers.
No, there would be one thing, and that wouldn't necessarily be the dwarves, but remember, they're mining for materials and minerals, so the company, they might be able to do something with that. But,
There could be some weapons, maybe.
but yeah, other than that, I don't see thematically how that's going to jive.
Yeah.
Well, either way, all things considered, the whole fucking thing about Christopher Barrett is interesting to see. But I think at the end of the day, it had to be done. And it's one of those things where it needed to be done. Like, he needed to go. He's also kind of a scuzzy person.
Yeah.
I think
Which-
anybody he had close ties with in the company probably needs to go as well.
Probably, because if he's got to that point,
Yeah,
that means most of upper management's probably
infested.
similar, or at
Well,
least complicit with it.
Like,
We've known that for a good while now that Bungie is not under good management.
Yeah, Bungie's really went down the drain.
Even the people that I know that liked Destiny 2 don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
yeah, 'cause they
man.
killed it.
Some
when
of
the
that latest
actual-
shit.
And when the actual player base for Destiny 2 is revolting at this point, the people that are used to eating that slop are done with it. It's become a pretty big problem.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
They've alienated what little fucking fandom they had, what little niche they had. So they've screwed themselves, yeah. Destiny is a fucking travesty that, like, started
Yeah, it
being
is.
bad and ended being bad, honestly. Its legacy is just messy.
They did an amazing PR thing though when they broke away from Activision, because they managed to blame all the shitty game practices and all like the shitty game design on Activision, and they got away scot-free for the horrible decisions they made for
And
the way
then
the game
it
was
was,
made.
and then it was revealed that no, they were also at fault.
It was actually entirely them, and Activision probably
If
kept them
anything,
from doing dumber shit.
Hmm. Well, what can you do, little chapros? What can you do? But, next up, speaking of things with allegations, it's interesting to point out.
Quick, someone did something. Make a new gay character.
Blizzard, the company legendary for allegations inside their studio. It's always interesting when you hear about it, because it always reminds you that this is not something that is unique to one studio. In fact, it's rather common. It's not even unique to this one industry either, by the way. It's just human nature. This is sex, literally. Human nature generally means that people want to procreate to make more humans. We're biologically made to do that, right? But one of the big issues is that you're also going to run into where people basically can't control their urges, or, you know, worse, they indulge in things they shouldn't. And so you're going to have people that are going to be doing all sorts of weird things, like collecting breast milk, you know?
or renaming the executive C-suites to Cosby Suite.
That's just weird. Like,
Wow, how would you do that?
like
That's just what they called it in Blizzard. They called it the Cosby Suite.
that's just bad. That's just bad. That's very bad. It's very bad. Oh my god, the fact that they did that. I almost forgot about the Cosby Suite thing. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, they're not only blatantly doing it, but they're embracing it. And also remember that this is actually not people you should be sticking for. Cancel culture is bad, yes. It is. However, this particular thing isn't necessarily cancel culture. These are actually probably, more than likely, the very same people who used cancel culture to get rid of their opposition inside the studio to secure more power internally. And so often, this is just merely, you know, what comes around goes around. They're getting their fucking comeuppance. So yeah.
It's always amused me how
something
when
you
they
make your bed, now get
Yeah.
fucked in it.
when they cancel other people, it's the things they always accuse them of are things that they're doing. It's always projection. It turns out.
On a s-
Kips, remember
oh, go ahead.
that Blizzard changed its motto from "Don't be evil" to
And
"Do
that was
the right
Google.
thing."
That was.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
close enough.
The point still stands. It's the idea of the mentality from
What's Blizzard's motto again? It's every voice has a place or something like that.
It has like
me
4 or
see.
5 different mottos listed on its
Blizzard.
statue.
Motto.
But yeah, they removed the "Don't be evil."
yes.
Yeah,
It
that
went
was
from
fun.
don't be evil to do good, and then
Do the right thing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Even
well,
if you have to be evil. Okay, so the first thing that comes up for Blizzard Entertainment's motto is "It'll be ready when it's ready."
Based. I
Yeah.
like that one.
It has like
That-
5 or
that is
6
a
on
good
the
one.
statues.
They haven't followed that in a long time, by the way.
They
If you look at
haven't.
Diablo 4 or
No.
Reforged there.
They've broken that motto, that principle. Next principle,
I'm looking for them.
because
That's just the first one that came up.
that one used to be true because they canceled 2 games that people really wanted and still want to this day.
the
StarCraft Ghosts and the
StarCraft
Warcraft
Ghosts. Yeah.
like adventure game, like point and click adventure game or whatever they were making. Like people really wanted that and they didn't get that. And they never are going to make that. Because that was back
Okay,
when the
so-
studio had principle because it wasn't up to their standard.
They don't have slogans, but they have what we stand for. Gameplay first. Everything we do at Blizzard Entertainment is based on the success of the gaming experience we provide our players.
This sounds like
That's
a modern
goddamn
thing.
lie.
This sounds like a modern thing because usually the older slogans are a little bit more simple for a studio.
Yeah,
The principles.
but
Well-
that's a lie though. Like they have been making games and modifying their games for the last several years to be less and less consumer friendly and less player friendly. So gameplay first is not a thing they follow.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Commit
also
to
possible-
quality.
No,
That's also not something.
That's just false. Which, to be fair, that ties into the fact that they keep tinkering with shit over and over and over again, which means they're not happy with it.
Then they have play nice, play fair. Being as they are the company that made the one of the most toxic MOBAs ever, I severely doubt that.
I mean,
Which
that's a bit of
MOBA?
that's a
League of Legends.
that's a bit of column A, a bit of column B. Like some of that's on them, but some of that's also on the player base.
League of Legends is Riot.
Oh right? Oh, I thought that was fucking
No,
Blizzard.
their MOBAs Tears of the Storm.
Yeah,
Here's
they
Here's
did
the
make
storm, yep. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Better examples: Overwatch and Overwatch 2. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, Overwatch would be
Ah, yes.
toxic.
Inside their studio, one of their mottos was every voice matters.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's that one.
Yep. And that's actually a good motto to have for a studio because every voice matters means that people can raise their opinions on the game or the product they're developing. Like, hey, like Kibbs, I think this part is kind of weak. He's kind of gay and cringe. Like, hearing that is actually important. As memey as that sounds, right? Because that means that people can basically critique each other on their work and try to constantly refine and push each other to do better.
Oh, here's a great part, Holland. So I'll put this in the stream room. But at certain points, the whoever was in there start doing this.
Oh my god, let's take a look at this. Gotta see this. They covered it up.
Well, the thing is, you know the mentality. The reason they're covering up like every voice matters is because every voice matters, except if they disagree with me. That's where that mentality comes
Not
from.
everyone at Blizzard
that's what
agrees with
actions
what
like this stem
happened.
from, is what I
Both
should
the
say.
think globally and every voice matters values have been covered up by incensed employees this morning.
When was that posted?
This sounds like more like a protest internally about how people.
2019. That's a while back.
Basically,
So
the studio's having a
every
civil war.
motto template has something like this thing attached to them. So I feel like for every voice matters, it has this idea of stuff. So I just can't find the other ones that are around the statue because they're not as important for some reason.
They weren't part of the culture war, so they don't need to be.
Except once again, the every voice matters is A lie.
The every voice matters thing used to be true though, because this team, what every voice matters enables is what Valve has, where people in the team be like, I want to make a game like this, and then they develop Portal or something like that, or like in the case of Blizzard, it was Hearthstone. Hearthstone was entirely an internal development. It was some devs with some downtime, bored, but they wanted to like practice and refine their game making skills and made a card game. And it was actually pretty fun. I hate card games, but for people who like card games, they claim it's really good, right?
We'll make you play Yu-Gi-Oh! Don't worry.
And so that's what that ended up actually doing so well internally that other people looked at them like, hey, this is actually pretty good. They brought it up to the executives and like, holy shit, let's turn that into a game. And they gave it a proper funding and set aside resources for it. And it developed a very popular card game that made them a relatively sizable amount of money. As far as I know, Hearthstone is still played by some people regularly. It's just one of those card games.
Yeah.
There's so much power creep. I know that much.
It does. Any card game that it goes on and exists will get power creep. Like any game.
Yeah.
That's
look at any
okay.
card
So
game.
any game that is live service or an MMO that gets constantly new stuff is going to have power creep because it's not time capsule, meaning that it's constantly receiving new development and new things, and because they need to constantly make new content, there's going to be power creep because eventually there will be. That's why the most balanced games are often dead games, because you know they can't really break anymore. Hearthstone might be predatory nowadays. I don't know, but I do know that when Hearthstone came out, it was very popular among a lot of my friends.
It had a decent amount of free content to it. I don't think that's really the case anymore. I mean,
Yep.
it might be. I don't know.
But I wouldn't be surprised because now it's been going on for many years now. But yeah, so that's the power of every voice matters. Allowing your team members to think independently adds new features and ideas. Like, there are a lot of things in our game that are actually new because somebody on the team came up with an idea. Because if you allow everyone to think creatively and play with the sandbox you're building, then if they're having fun with making it, the thing you're making is probably going to be good. If your team isn't playing with the sandbox you're building, or the game you're building, I guess you could say, then odds are your game might suck. That's at least my personal opinion on it. Because if people aren't having fun with it, then that's bad. Like, why aren't they getting engaged with it? Why don't they want to like come up with ideas for it? Like, they should want to. It's really good, right? Question
If
mark?
you're in a situation where people are working on it don't want to actually play or interact with it, then it's gonna be poorly made.
Yes. Absolutely. But yes, this all ties back to the Brett thing, and this is probably not something that will probably ever change. Bear in mind that going forward from this point historically, there's going to be false accusations. There'll be accusations that have merit. There'll be accusations that don't have merit, right? Like one day, you know, someone's gonna try to cancel somebody. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Kib will be next. Maybe Salon will
We'll have
finally
many
take me down.
twit-longers regarding Kib.
Yeah, twit-longers about Kib. Like one day,
Yeah.
one
I
day,
have so many examples from Kib actually.
one day, yeah, pretty much. Fuck you. One day it will happen though. Like I'm pretty
This
convinced.
is why
that.
you record all the drunk conversations with Kibbs regularly when he
But-
calls you.
The big thing is that when you go forward with these things, you gotta ask yourself, like, okay, what happened here? Like, is it the case of like that one YouTuber whose name I can't remember, where he did something and there was something that went on between him and his wife, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Like, he's just like, well, that's my business, it's not your business. And he said something pretty based on the whole thing. But at the same time, if I remember right, that guy didn't go out of his way to go cancel people. If I recall correctly. I don't remember the name. I think Bucky might. Bucky, do you remember?
I'm not going to say.
You know
Like
who I'm
says-
talking about, though.
I immediately distrust the company if they have any message on the likes of "we are very good guys and care about everyone."
Well, the thing is, company messages, right? These are meant to be company principles. A studio has principles. We have several written up on our principle doc somewhere where I've stuffed it. And the principle doc basically is to establish core ideas and philosophy about your studio that you want your studio to adhere to. Like, you know, it'll be done when it's done and not a moment before it. Like, that is incredibly important because, yeah, it means that when you make something, you're gonna be proud of it. Like, every game, we're proud of every game we're gonna make. Like, that's something that I've instilled upon our team, is why our game is going to take many years to finish, is because if our game can't have the thing that says Battle Damage Studios proudly presents, then we're not going to release it. It has to say that, and we have to mean that, because you need to be proud of the work you're producing. It has to actually have something of value and merit. It can't just be shovelware schlock. That's just garbage. Never stop molesting Squeewee. Okay. Come here, Skittle.
No.
No. Skittle diddle
Pulls
diddle.
up. Discord conversation calls me race trader.
I think I have done that several times. I think
Yes, you have.
But there was like no connection to anything. It's just randomly just accuse you of things. Which is based.
Just having a normal conversation, just drop in the middle of it, race trader.
I also
All I've
called
done
him
is point
several
out
racial
that you're,
slurs. I can confirm that.
Gay.
I've called him gay. I've called him racial slurs. I've called him a race trader. I've called him Skittles, kitten. I said that I was going to groom him, and I'll do it again. And I'll do it again. Kingdom Come 2. Yes. This is something that's a little bit of news. So when talking about RPGs, when we talk about Titans, and they come and they go, right? Bungie's kind of on the way out, but Bungie might see a recovery. Bethesda used to make RPGs and sandbox RPGs that people were pretty excited for, and they even took over for Black Isle for Fallout after they went tits up, right? But the issue is that they've kind of become stagnant. Oblivion to Fallout 4 mechanically, they're not very different in terms of how they work combat, melee, and mechanical functions. In fact, they're very similar as a game. They've stagnated because Oblivion. When I look at what Oblivion was, because I watched what Squealy showed me the video, I actually just realized that Fallout 4 is Oblivion, and Oblivion is Skyrim. These are all the same games. And Fallout 3 is the same game.
Basic mechanics for a lot of their games.
It's a little more watered down.
It's just easier to do that than start from scratch.
Yeah, the melee combat mechanics are incredibly basic. Everything's becoming more basic and sterile. And then when you look at Starfield, something came out in the 2020s, right? And it's just the same combat system as Oblivion, melee combat.
It's just Skyrim in space.
Yeah, it's not even just Skyrim, it's just Oblivion. They're all stagnant since Oblivion. They've all that was the flat line
5
point.
games before Starfield was Fallout 76 and then Skyrim.
It's just bad. It's just really bad. And it's funny because when you look at Avowed, combat mechanics wise, and Avowed is a sterile game. Avowed is fucking behind by a decade. It should have came out 2 decades ago or a decade and a half ago. And combat mechanically, it has more combat mechanics than Skyrim has. And it has two fucking mechanics. And they're not new mechanics either. They've actually existed for a while. But it has a better combat system. Everything else is worse, by the way. And oh god, it's so grindy. But the entire game, that just goes to show how bad it's gotten with sterile game design.
Hold on, kids. I want you to let you know that Skyrim came out with more
it has more overall features.
Yeah, more dynamics, game engine, fucking water dynamics, shit like that. There's just more in it.
Yep.
Than the fucking Avowed.
Yes.
And if you actually stand around and look at all the Avowed NPCs, they don't move.
They don't. They're sterile. They're
just
static.
copy paste.
So the thing is that Avowed shouldn't be compared to Skyrim. That's a inappropriate comparison because Avowed is actually Borderlands. Now, Borderlands has NPCs that walk around too inside their towns and cities, and Borderlands cities are a lot more lively than Avowed. And the reason why I think the Skyrim comparison is inept is because people are thinking Obsidian and Bethesda are the same because they made a Fallout game. And they're also thinking what Avowed is, it's going to be just like Skyrim. It's not. It's actually more like Borderlands. It has more in common with Borderlands than it ever did with Fallout. Or not Fallout, or Skyrim. Because if you look at what Avowed was supposed to be, Avowed was actually supposed to be a 4-player multiplayer co-op game. Where you ran around and basically loot grinded and weapon grinded like you do in Borderlands, but fantasy. That's actually what Avowed was supposed to be. So yeah, and versus Skyrim's going to have a lot more simulated sandbox, and so you're going to have characters move around, be able to pickpocket characters, be able to steal from the town, and do actual RPG mechanics. Avowed shouldn't even be called an RPG. The only thing it has RPG is that you get better weapons and your numbers go up. And I guess it has one thing a bit more than fucking Borderlands, but your character not only talks, but you can actually do like skills and stuff that affect dialogue. Though and you can even make some dynamic choices in it, but it's more like a different take on Borderlands than it is Skyrim, in my opinion. But even comparing it to that, it's still inferior. Borderlands is still better.
Borderlands 2 is better.
The writing in Borderlands is better, and that's saying something.
Oh, that's really bad.
Oh my god.
It is saying something.
Speaking of Avowed had a really cool setup to its story. It basically ripped the setup, from my opinion, from like an Elder Scrolls game. It's like, you're an agent of the Emperor. So it's like, Morrowind, or, you know, one of the earlier Elder Scrolls games where you're an agent of the Emperor.
Hold on. If you're talking specifically an agent of the Emperor, the more apt comparison would actually be Daggerfall.
Oh, look at you, Fanny.
Yep, and you're an envoy sent by the Emperor to go investigate a spiritual plague. And that sounds so cool. I really like that, because there's so much you can do with that. And then we play it, and they did nothing. Like, there's just mushrooms, and they're mushroom things, and there are mushroom zombies, and people have mushrooms on them, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, somebody in the team played Last of Us and was like, mushrooms are scary and gross and cool. Let's make mushrooms the enemy. And then it's like, it's just mushrooms. I'm fighting mushrooms. Like, I would rather play Mario. That has better mushroom combat than Avowed does.
Wow.
Goombas are basically mushrooms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like brown
The
mushroom.
toads are.
Toads are poisonous mushroom. Evil.
All right.
In World of Warcraft, NPCs move around? Yes, they do. There are even wandering merchants that are always annoying if you ever wanted something from them in like earlier days. Wow. It's like, where's the pet seller? As he fucking wanders around, so you gotta like run around the city and look for him. Bear with it, Kibbs. Unbearable combat. The game also had an obsession with bears, yes. Bears were like horses in that game, but like dogs. You know, they were like
Ever
the tame
since
combat creature.
Baldur's Gate 3, there's been an obsession with bears.
But Avowed has been in development longer
Bears.
than Baldur's Gate 3. Well, longer than Baldur's Gate 3's been out. So it seems like it was a trend that was popular. So the big thing about the creative sphere, I don't talk about this too much because I don't interact with the creative sphere as much anymore. But this is basically the social strata in which creatives interact. I have several developer friends that I used to talk to a lot more. I don't talk to them as much anymore, but what you would notice is that they would, and no criticism towards them, but because the creative strata, everyone sort of talks to each other, the same ideas are also spoken to each other about certain things. And so while somebody will tell me something like, oh, this is some good idea I have, I'm like, oh, that's neat. And I was like, but like, when I think about it, like, so did like 3 other people say the exact same thing. So, when people in that strata talk to each other, they share ideas and they're willing to look at each other's work and give critique. That's really good for peer review. However, one of the downsides to that is that that's why you also see a lot of similar things, because people talk to each other too much and they let each other influence each other more than they should. That's always been a problem with the creative strata, especially now that due to social networks, it's now easier than ever to get in communication with them and make connections with other creatives. That's why I don't really go out of my way to contact them or other ones, because the issue is that when you talk to them, like when what you write and what you make will often be inspired by what you read and what you consume and what you watch and what you like. And so if you start interacting with more things like that, and especially in the creative sphere, you'll start to create things that are similar in some ways to other things. Now, it's okay to have inspirations, right? Like, let's say you're making a science fiction setting about a super soldier, and the super soldier has, like, you know, unique power armor and has these unique abilities. Well, he might be compared to a space marine from Warhammer, or he might be compared to Master Chief as a character, or the character from Crisis. But the important fact is that your character is unique and has his own unique abilities that sets him apart. So he's not just that, right? It's like Anthem, right? Anthem had super soldier dudes too, except they were in power armor, but the power armor could fly, and so people were like, oh, it's like Iron Man suits, you know? So that was the idea, conceptually. I didn't think we'd get into this sort of like high-minded conversation about concepts and theory and game dev theory.
You never know where a bunch castle will go.
Yeah, it's always just random. But yeah, so this is something to be careful of. Don't overconsume and don't overread as a creative. Critique from one creative to another. Because overconsumption will often lead to stagnation or regurgitation. Especially do not write anything new based on something inspired by something you had recently watched. Never ever do that. I have to remind myself of that every day because of a certain someone.
But Kibbs, I wanna write a story about Halo based off of playing my favorite game, Mass Effect.
Oh God,
No.
that's gonna work out really weird. Has there been a game that's been like that recently?
It was the Halo TV show.
Oh no! Yes, that is. That is actually identical plot-wise. The plot is like Mass Effect, but the characters and setting is set in Halo, and it feels wrong, very wrong.
I'm so glad I never watched the show.
It's two ideas that do not mesh well, because it's got this idea of this overarching nemesis and threat that's subversive, but it's like the Covenant's not really subversive; they're genocidal, and so but they're like Reapers in that setting. But it's like it's weird. It's just weird. And there's a lot of internal conflict, like there is a Mass Effect between the races and each other, and it's like weird because it didn't really make any sense.
And you stop, you're not making Halo better, you're making Mass Effect worse. That's
Pretty much.
unexpected. Is that why Doom Guy suddenly obtained a grappling hook in Doom Eternal?
That might have been inspired by something that I think the grappling hook might have been that, but I feel like it also was. Okay, so the core philosophy of Doom is it's an arena shooter where you run around and shoot. So the logical conclusion to come to when analyzing that just on a whim is that was introduced to allow for more maneuverability in the combat arena and change up its maneuverability and try to make it more gameplay variety in combat. The issue with adding the grappling hook like they did in Eternal is that while that did do that occasionally, it sort of turned it into like a monkey gym, and it also turned it into... It added platforming as like a core concept to the game to help introduce this mechanic, and then for whatever reason, instead of just introducing it with one small platforming section, they repeatedly introduce platforming sections throughout the game, and so it becomes a weird platformer by the end of the game with action combat, and it just I hated it.
It's platform to Monster Arena to platform. And then the monster arenas themselves later on just become platform arenas.
The final boss is
arenas.
ass, because I remember all you had to do is like jump between three things, and it was jump between three things while shooting a big thing, and I hated that so much because it wasn't like an epic Doom battle. It was like me jumping around like fucking Mario with a gun, shooting at this
and then
boss.
Random ads come in so you can kill them to get ammo.
Yeah, to get ammo
or whatever.
And so it became incredibly repetitive. Now they did keep in the new Doom Dark Age, they're keeping the kill enemies to get resources thing, which is like okay, but it looks like
The
it's
problem
more...
is it breaks up the combat too much.
One thing I do
But
think...
the thing is, that's why they're doing it, and also...
Hold on. One thing that I noticed is that they changed is they removed sync kills from the new Doom. At least it didn't look like there was any, because sync kills ruined Doom. Because they were interested in Doom 2016, and they're okay, but they're incredibly like repetitive, and they kind of interrupt the flow of gameplay. So them and the Eternal mandated sync kills to get ammo and certain resources, or you had to use chainsaw to get certain things. That's bad.
I unironically came to believe that sync kills should only ever occur at the last enemy in the fight.
Yeah, something like that.
Or when you're going under Berserk. Because fuck me, like,
well, yeah, at that point,
when almost every enemy, when it's more efficient to sync kill every enemy you see, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Yep, and also
the thing
gives you
is-
like iframes, so the combat it takes away control from the player, and now you're just watching a scene. Then you get control, take away, get back.
The funny
get
thing
take
is,
away.
you can tell that they understood this was going to be a problem, because if you watch the trailers for 2016 versus the gameplay, they sped up the sync kill animation speed.
They did in 2016, which made it more durable, but then they really ruined Eternal's gameplay loop, because they're like, every weapon has to be specifically used against specific types, and if you try to play with your toolbox outside of these specific enemy types, like using plasma weapons and non-shielded enemies, it's a waste of resources, and it's not as fun. Versus
They
Doom
turned
2016,
fights
you can
into
use whatever you
puzzles.
want. Yeah, that was a bad idea. Like, technically speaking, every video game is a puzzle, but the whole idea of a video game is that you're not supposed to realize that while playing it. And when you realize that and you see through that, that really kind of destroys your immersion. Because it's an immersion breaker. Takes you out of the game. And you don't want to take the player out. You want to suck the player in.
Eternal had a lot of issues.
Doom has become Reddit, has it? I've only looked a little bit at Dark Ages gameplay.
Writing-wise, probably.
The writing for it was pretty dumb. It's like the Doom 2016
I hated
thing.
the deflection that Doom has never really had much of a plot, therefore they didn't need to do much.
That's false. It
Doom
has a
has
story.
always had a story.
No,
Well,
it has. It was incredibly simple, but it did have it.
Yep. I mean,
And
even
if you-
Pong has a story, which is funny.
If you looked at 2016, they did a story. They just kept it in the background so that
Yes,
you didn't have to focus on it.
2016's story was better than Eternal.
Yep, it didn't
Yeah,
focus
I
on it
agree with that.
overly. It was a bit more subdued. Eternal took that and was like, let's build up this massive lore.
Mythos, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, calm down.
Oh no.
It wasn't good.
There are even Funko Pops in 2016. That's true.
Yeah, there is. You collect them.
That's
They
true.
unironically turned an eccentric scientist that turned themselves into a robot into a fucking angel, or a fallen angel, one of the two.
That was dumb. That was dumb. See, the thing is, Sniper Commando, the executions were neat once or twice or maybe even 10 times. But by the end of the game, I was so fucking fed up with every kill animation that I didn't want to see it anymore. Like, I just don't want to see the kill animations. I want to just kill things.
He says,
Normally.
I liked the executions the enemies could do on you in Doom 2016.
Sucks up Giggles. He's like, "Whoop." Look at him. Giggles is mad now. He didn't like all the sucking going on. He's like, yeah. Giggles is upset. Giggles. Hello, Frumped. Doom doesn't need a story. It's not. No, that's not entirely true. Don't embrace the anti-story thing. Every game needs a synopsis, a reason for why it exists. Every game has one. Whether it's a comical reason or a simple reason, Doom 1 had a story. Doom 2 had a story. All of them did.
I should say, like, I wasn't complaining about it having a story. It's just like they made it so fucking convoluted and weird. It's like,
Yep.
Doom was always about a simple story of like a Marine trying to get out of the Mars base, a Marine who's killing demons because they killed his pet rabbit.
Yep.
Like, it was a simple story.
It's a simple story, and the idea of Mars, like, the whole setup for Doom 1 is what made it cool to me. Like, it's like, you're on Mars, there's a scientific base that went to hell, literally, and you gotta, like, basically beat back the demons from hell. If you take away the story from Doom, you don't have demons. You don't have Mars. You don't have Doom Guy. You don't have anything. Story is what makes the demons. Stories is what makes the enemies. It's what makes the zones. It's what makes the setting. Without story, you won't have a gun in your hand. Without story, you have nothing. You don't exist.
Mhm.
Even Pong. Don't even me Bucky. Pong, you wouldn't even have a paddle to beat the little fucking square brick that goes across the screen.
What's the story of Pong?
The story of Pong is that you're playing a game of Pong.
You've challenged your friend to a deadly duel of Pong.
No, that's it. No, it's just
That's
like
Yu-Gi-Oh.
it's just it's the synopsis. It's the reason for being. Whether it's simple, whether it's not, it sets up the stage. The box art for Pong sets up.
Imagine you go into reading the fucking the manual for Pong, right? And it
has a
starts
manual.
going to this deep lore into
So
what it
I
means
saw
to be a
a
Pong
suggestion
player.
that I just want to bring up from someone in chat a bit ago. Next time play Mass Effect, download Halo mod. Just have Shepard be Master Chief.
Maybe.
Bum, bada, bum.
That way you can experience the Halo TV show.
Oh.
Now then, all of a sudden, all the Renegade options that are pro-human make total sense.
Owie, I got a loud on my cheek. All right, moving on. Oh, that hurt. It stings. All right, so
Stop hurting yourself.
no. It needs to be done. It needs to be. That sounds so fucking edgy. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 shows no signs of slowing down. It has sold over 2 million copies in less than 2 weeks and is continuing to do so pretty rapidly. This is what I want to talk about when it comes to Bethesda and back to RPGs. So, Bethesda used to be like the king of sandbox RPGs. I think because of their stagnation and because their lack of willingness to improve or build anything new has led to, that's what led to Starfield, right?
Yeah.
And so because that led to Starfield, that's also created an opening for new studios like Warhorse Studios and Deep Silver Publisher to produce a new RPG. Because first Kingdom Come Deliverance wasn't very good. It's okay. It's pretty well received. It's 80% positive, which is nothing to sneeze at. That's a pretty high mark. But it's actually been outplayed by its sequel because its sequel is actually more polished and refined. The studio has now found its footing after the working on Kingdom Come Deliverance 1.
It reminds me of the transition from Halo 1 to Halo 2.
Yep. Where it's like, wow, they're really starting to find themselves. Except for the brood enemies. Oh, fuck. They're so spongy.
Brutes are
I wouldn't say Halo 2 was
cancer.
where they found themselves, I'll be honest. I think Halo 3 was at that point.
3 is where they reached peak. Oh my god, 3 is like a masterpiece.
It also has the easiest campaign.
And the shortest.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
And I hate how they make
guess.
the Marines just seem worthless.
But it's the best one. That's not even up for debate. Agree with me or die.
I mean, gameplay-wise, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I agree. Halo Wars was the best Halo game.
It killed Ensemble Studios.
Halo Wars had the best cutscenes.
They're dead.
It did have the best cutscenes.
It did. Ensemble Studios had great CG. They had great, or I think they got an outside studio to help with that. I think.
I just liked that a non-Spartan killed an arbiter, which is great.
He was a badass.
Sergeant.
Also, Halo Wars 2 had some good cutscenes.
What's his name? Sergeant.
Also-
what was his name? Sergeant.
Sergeant Forge.
Sergeant Forge. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I would have killed you the first time if the lady hadn't stepped in.
You probably would have actually.
Halo Wars is kind of an average RTS that's actually made great by its music, and it's got a lot of heart and soul, and it also has a really good story. So,
For the most
yeah,
part.
it's kind of an okay RTS, and it's
For
held
what
back.
it is,
it's held
it's-
back because it was a console RTS. Okay.
Yes.
It
that's
would
what I
have
was
been
gonna
so
say.
much more had it just been made for PC.
Yeah, for what it is, it's okay to decent, but since it's on console, that inherently gives it limitations that other RTSs just wouldn't have to suffer.
And so begins the okay. So on that subject, we'll get back to that in a second. Okay, remind me about the next one's always the worst one. The last one was the best one. Okay, because we're going to talk about that later because that's a topic that's historical revisionism that needs to be addressed.
Hold on, that's not true. Halo Reach, going from Halo 3 to Halo Reach was a true statement.
Halo Reach was disappointing. Halo Reach isn't a
Okay.
bad game.
Halo 3 was better than Halo Reach, and Halo
Yeah.
3 was better than Halo 2. It's a true statement for Halo 3.
Yeah, Halo 3 was just peak.
I mean, I really liked a lot of aspects of 2, especially campaign.
2 did a lot of really good things, but they really should have
I
waited
failed.
for the next generation.
Failure. It didn't have a Warthog run, and that's failed.
Oh my god, he
Well,
brings
it's
that up.
also just
Oh,
ends.
Bucky knows how to persuade me.
That's
Yep,
because
it's over.
Halo
It's awful.
2
It's awful.
Well, that's because Halo 2 and 3 were supposed to be the same game.
Correct.
Yeah.
The
Two
Halo. So
Went through
Bungie.
development hell.
Yes, it went through development hell, and then they cobbled together the game very shortly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So much
That's why
good
it doesn't
content.
end with a Warthog run.
That's why the
because they had
Scarab
time
doesn't
to
have a
do it.
boss fight either. They had to wait till 3 to get the Scarab boss fights.
Which is why Halo 2 doesn't have a Warthog run. If it did have the proper time and budget for it, it would have had a Warthog run. As is tradition.
Oh,
Halo 2 was trying to be too ambitious with things.
see if
And they
they
didn't
could.
have
Oh,
enough
you bring
time.
up Halo because I'm so passionate about this goddamn franchise. But like, if I could get one wish, is if they remastered Halo 3, they just remastered Halo 1, 2, and 3 in the same engine, and then they just play back to back, and then just call it the Great Halo or the Ultimate Halo.
I have a better idea. Give Halo to a different studio.
That's not gonna happen. Halo
That's not gonna
Industry.
happen.
Oh my god, they did Halo Industries.
Actually, yeah. They
Yeah, no, that's still just 3 for 3, just different name.
It is. That's the worst part.
no change in client in the personnel either.
Yep, they just fired the lower tier staff, which were just contractors anyways.
I hate that. I hate this. I hate this timeline. I hate this timeline. Oh, I hate 343 so much. And Halo Industries is literally just the same.
So, Kibbs, I got a question.
What?
If let's say DICE got a hold of what is it? A Battlefield Halo,
Ooh.
and it was just Marines and ODSTs.
You mean Marines ODSTs fighting
I want
Coveys?
that.
Covenant. Yeah.
I would buy that.
I would.
And-
Yeah, I want that.
I would buy that for all of you. Fuck. I'd buy that for all. We're playing it. Jesus fuck, that'd be amazing. A Halo Battlefield crossover thing would be amazing. The fact that that hasn't happened is honestly a crime against God and everything right in the world. The fact that- you shouldn't have talked about that. No, I don't trust DICE either anymore. But yeah, I am interested in what DICE is doing with the new Battlefield, though, because when I looked at the preview footage for the new Battlefield game, the new Battlefield game looks like it's returning to basics, or basically going back to the Battlefield 3 and 4. And I actually like Battlefield 3 and 4. I know people, oh god, yeah, those games were a bit controversial when they came out because people didn't like them, and now they like them now. It's weird.
And like, well, actually, maybe we judged you too harshly.
Well, actually, we looked at 2042, and we miss you. We miss you. If they make a campaign, I don't think they should even waste resources on campaign, but if they do it, they should do it like Bad Company and just make it a comedy. Because Bad Company is the only time Battlefield has ever been able to have a campaign in it.
It had the
Ever.
best campaign. Also, Stefan Vest has been a member for 14 months as a software miner.
Thank you for the support,
Just-
Steven.
Just to let you know, Kibbs,
Hmm?
for everybody's here, there's another what is it called? Campaign going on for KCD2
Campaign?
for like the drop items. Yeah, how we had this.
No,
It's
A
a
new
wreath.
set.
Oh yeah.
man.
Just in case anybody's wondering, that's going on right now.
Okay.
DICE is a crime against mankind. I will not trust that deceitful company again, says Tiberius.
Yes, you will. Don't lie to me. You will.
You're hurting
You'll
like
buy-
we all
you'll-
are.
The trailer for the new Battlefield looked decent.
Well, that's not even a
Decent.
game. That's a
Yes,
lab.
but that's the problem. It's a trailer for it. So
It's a
that
pre-script
doesn't actually
cutscene.
tell
I
us
haven't even
anything.
seen it, so.
So what
That's
it is
good.
it is a sandbox lab for people to test out what ideas that the studio has. They're not tied to any game. They're just mechanic testing.
Yep. Right now, there's a beta you can apply to join for the Battlefield Labs. Because right now, EA is pretty pissed off at DICE, rightfully so, because they fucked up. And DICE is trying to re-find its footing, because a lot of their personnel, they've had a lot of people leave over time. And so now they need to basically rediscover themselves in the 2020s, which is probably for the best. The Labs program is a good idea at its core, and is a solid thing, assuming it works out. The big thing about Labs is that there's so many people applying to get into Labs. It's like there's like 3 million or 2 million people or whatever. It's insane how many people that were online to get into Labs. It was insane.
Frederick gifts a membership.
Thank you for the gift of membership. Very generous.
North.
But
40.
yeah, that's one of those things, little chat bros. One of those things. But back to the original topic. When it comes to the Fall of Titans, Bethesda, when it comes to their RPG stuff, I think they've really fallen. And I think a lot of us kind of all agree on that note. But I think that what we're going to see now, because there's now an opening, Warhorse Studios did very well with Kingdom Come Deliverance, and the Kingdom Come Deliverance franchise, because it is now a franchise. Hopefully we'll see other RPG companies start to look at this and be like, okay, maybe we can make it into the market. They just needed to see a success, because the copycats will come, but sometimes copycats can actually do better than the originals, and sometimes even surpass, right? Like, for example, what's the word? Gears of War was not a copycat. I'm trying to think of a copycat game that did better than its original, and that was just a better product altogether. Technically, Warcraft is a copycat of Warhammer, but it did better and it made better games. And then Warhammer floundered, but that was because of the fantasy stuff. It's also because GW is a scuzzy company and tried to throw them under the bus.
Marvel Rivals versus Overwatch.
That's true. That's a copycat game surpassing the original game massively.
Would you say Fortnite versus PUBG?
Yes.
That's another example of a copycat game eclipsing its predecessor. Yes. Terraria wasn't necessarily copycat because it's a different genre technically, but it was inspired by, I guess, copycats and inspired games. Games that try to follow trends also count as well. And this means extraction shooters as a whole, because this entire genre is based on it.
Let's see. Kingdom Come Deliverance. No.
Well,
No. So what's that one? It's not For Honor. There's like
Chivalry?
either Chivalry or something Lords, Banner Lords.
Bannerlords? Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's like Manor Lord and some other games that are like similar and slightly better because the shit's janky as fuck.
Bannerlords.
Mountain Blade, yeah.
Terraria has a lot to it, though. Yes. The thing is, chat, a copycat game can start off as a similar game inspired by another game, right? But it can surpass its predecessor.
RimWorld and Dwarf Fortress.
Mm-hmm. I think RimWorld is just a superior game to Dwarf Fortress in every aspect, but yeah.
Yeah.
Dwarf
bit
Fortress will
different,
never be
yeah.
completed. It will go on forever.
I think the issue with
Pretty
Dwarf
much.
Fortress is that it's not really a game as it is like a neat concept that will never be made.
BioShock versus System Shock.
That's true. BioShock is still alive. System Shock is only getting remasters currently. I think
That
there's
one's weird though,
a third game
because
is
Is
in the
Bioshock
works.
still alive?
because Bioshock had some of the same people as System Shock.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The people that left, I forget the name, Idolo Studios? No, is it Looking Glass? I don't remember.
Yeah.
One of those old studios.
It's one of those.
They left.
Halo versus
all that.
Marathon.
Yep, Marathon, definitely. Because Halo was supposed to be set in the Marathon universe and eclipsed its predecessor so much that they just made it its own thing. Despite all the
No,
Marathon
it's because at the
iconography.
last minute. It's because at the last minute Microsoft came in and said, "Yo, we want something," and they're like, sure, we can change some shit."
And then Mac just looks at him like, "You stole this."
It's
from
why
me."
the Siege of Madrigal soundtrack can be found in one of the Halo levels if you're willing to take like a Banshee or like one of the flying vehicles to like one of the top of one of the maps. I forget one.
Mm-hmm.
Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead to Zomboid. Yeah. The Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead is kind of like another Dwarf Fortress game where it's very archaic in terms of design, but Project Zomboid is like so much more refined as an experience and is really starting to develop into its own.
Cata is it's weird because it's not just a zombie
Yeah,
setting.
it's more like
That one's
Or
it's
alien
Apocalypse.
invasion
Yep.
thing.
But that's
It's
the inspiration,
aliens.
so that's actually correct.
yeah.
So, because PZ is actually entirely based, well, not entirely, but entirely
no, I
inspired
think
by CDDA, and that's what made PZ into a thing. So it is
No,
a
I
it is a
agree with you.
copycat.
It is a better, more focused experience.
It's way better in my opinion, even as a game. PZ's just superior.
Bethesda loves its keep it simple stupid strategy. The Xbox killed that company's creativity.
What? The Xbox killed that company's creativity? Xbox? Oh, it wasn't just the Xbox. I mean, that company's creativity died ages ago. It died with
It died
Morrowind.
with Morrowind.
Yep. Morrowind killed Bethesda as a game. Because
Todd never wanted to go back to the like shovelware era and putting everyone under a stupid amount of crunch, so he plays it very safe in that regard.
it's not even
Also
that,
have
just
Ghosts and
design-wise.
Goblins versus Castlevania.
Oh my god, I remember Ghosts and Goblins. Only because I remember somebody telling
Yeah,
me
but
about it.
that Ghosts and Golems the better game.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a copycat, isn't it?
We're talking about a copycat that eclipsed the other.
Yeah.
You want to talk about whether or not you think the other one's better? Castlevania has a long standing like game releases where Ghosts and Goblins died.
Yep, Ghosts and Goblins doesn't have games. Hell, Castlevania has its own fucking TV
Franchise.
show, merchandise,
Oh, it's a bad
comics.
TV show, but
I know,
Castlevania is
but
also
it
part
had
of
some
even
moments.
so, it still has more, right? Like Sonic was
Castlevania is also a part of the
There's a-
genre.
the
Metroidvania,
counter to
so-
Mario was Sonic, and Sonic literally has a better movie adaptation than Mario does.
That is true.
it's not only it's better, but it's also more respectful and better received. And has not only that, but it has a TV show now. A new TV show. It has multiple TV shows actually.
Like yeah.
There's a current
Mario
TV show.
has like one TV, if I remember correctly.
Sonic has like 4. like 4.
Yes. He has a lot of great TV shows.
Underground.
What?
You don't besmirch the Rebel one. The 80s punk rock rebellion one. That was great. Fucking love
Where
that
their
one.
fucking superpowers were summoning instruments and playing rock.
Yeah, they're fighting underground because their monarchy's been deposed. Like, what the fuck is the story for that? That's amazing.
It's really bad.
That's fucking amazing. A deposed monarchy? Like, what is going on here? Like, I want to know more about this place.
I am Hotep, you are Hedgehog. We know not each other.
Hedgehogs are better than Italians. Sad, Reggie, it's true.
We need some chili dog
Indiana.
chat,
No,
bros.
I agree with you. Hedgehogs are superior to Italian.
Now, Sandy, you belong to me, my little Sandman. He's a Sandman. Hedgehogs
We need
are
to show
better than
Kibbs Archie Sonic the Hedgehog, and he'll never talk fondly about Sonic lore ever again.
Hold up.
I read
Hold up.
Chris Chan. I survived.
Hold up. Well, no. Archie Comics is the actual canon comic book line for it. The
Yeah.
big thing about Archie Comics is that Eggman is fucking crazy in that fucking series.
What the fuck?
He goes, "You killed Sonic?" He's like, "Yes, that's what you wanted." If I wanted to kill Sonic, I could have done it at any time. I wanted to beat him. And so he just fucks up the dude that killed him.
Oh, let me find that fucking meme. I'm gonna get that hedgehog.
Because their rivalry is more of a show of who is better than the other. It's a superiority complex thing for Eggman.
Yes, and Eggman wants to win with his wits, not just going and murdering him.
Yeah, because if he wanted to murder him, he could have done it ages ago.
Done it very easily. I just build a bomb and then I drop it in multiple places just in case.
It's unironically with him. It's about the message. Hedgehogs are holy in some ways in Zoroastrianism. Don't know how, but that's what I heard. I mean, Zoroastrianism is not something I'm super acquainted with, other than their burial rituals, which I find very weird.
Zoroastrianism, Gibbs.
Zoroastrianism.
Zoroastrianism. Astrian meaning
Zoroastrianism.
star.
Don't you do this to me. Stop it. Stamp. Get this.
Zoroastrianism.
Spritz. That's me spritzing with the spritz bottle.
I don't think that really works on squirrels.
I don't think it does either.
We could try. We could try.
And you will fail.
You will fail. I will be damp and you will be defeated. You will. Devil May Cry versus Bayonetta. Oh yeah, Devil May Cry, or was Bayonetta? No, I don't know. I don't know which one came first. I'm
Pretty
not
sure Devil May
Devil
Cry.
May Cry came first.
Is it
Bayonetta's second,
Metal
yeah.
Metal Slug versus Metal Gear?
But Devil May Cry is a better game, though. At least Devil May Cry 5 was really good mechanically. Zoroastrisms, don't do that, Plague. I'll kill you too with my brain. All right, so Bethesda and that. So yeah, so Titans are crumpling. Bungie is crumpling down. Maybe to be reborn as a phoenix, or maybe to reborn as some horrific monstrosity. Only time will tell. Bethesda is stagnant and sterile as ever. The only things that's coming out of them is not necessarily games that are necessarily involved. Like Machine Games has produced the Indiana Jones Great Circle game, which is actually good. But it wasn't really because of Bethesda. The Doom game looks like it might be making a recovery, but that's not really because of Bethesda. Bethesda's kind of stagnating.
Indiana Jones might have been because of Todd.
Unironically, I think Todd Howard saved Indiana Jones Great Circle.
Yeah.
Because Todd Howard never seemed to put too much wokeism. I will dismiss my criticisms on one for just this once for Todd, because I respect that Todd actually managed to make the Indiana Jones Great Circle game an Indiana Jones indie game. Like you're playing as Indy. It's about Indiana Jones. It's the most respectful like movie game adaptation I've seen in modern times. And it proved to me that it is possible to continue to make movie games today if you just pull your head out of your ass. Also, Machine Games, or I think it's Machine Games. I don't remember the names. Machine something. They really fucking nailed it with like building on the combat melee system. They did a good job with the fist fighting, like making that the go-to. So good job on actually improving your mechanics and systems. They've really improved since I think they made the Riddick games. I think that was their origins. I don't remember %, but like that was a bit more static.
Wasn't also the Wolfenstein people?
Yep. But I mean, as in, like, they picked up the melee combat system back from the Riddick movie games and then brought it to the Indiana Jones games and then built upon it a lot more. If I recall correctly. The Wolfenstein games, I don't really remember the melee combat system whatsoever. I think it was just
I don't
basic.
think there really was one besides just you melee assassinate people.
Yeah. And they really lost themselves with the second game and the third game.
I found the image, kids.
What's that, boy?
The fucking
Boy. Put in chat. Boy. Oh no. How dare you? But he's gone. Now, he can't get in the way of your plans. The hedgehog is mine to destroy. It's not the job of some lipstart like you.
Upstart,
idiot. I can't, the font. I could carpet bomb him any day. That's not enough. That's not the point. I have to beat him. I have to prove I'm superior. Where there's a right and wrong way to vanquish your lifelong nemesis, and you did it very, very wrong. I'm sorry, sir. You would be. Don't let it happen again. Again. Yeah,
I think he goes. Yeah. So.
Like there's just a little cranky bunny in the background.
No worries, she's extremely important to the ongoing story.
Mm-hmm. So the point is that Eggman can literally just kill Sonic at any time, but the only reason he doesn't is because he doesn't want to. He thinks it's an admission of defeat if he does.
Yep, because he's trying to prove that his intellect alone is enough to defeat him.
Yep.
Gotta go
it's
fast.
like Starscream's bullshit.
Starscream, oh my fucking god. Starscream is probably one of the best Decepticons. I just love that guy.
He tries so hard, and then once he gets there, it's like, what the fuck do I do now that I'm here?
One Wing Angel says, Machine Games have developers from Starbreeze who made the Riddick games. Yep, that's where that technical experience came from. It wasn't Machine Games. Thanks for the correction, One Wing Angel. Appreciate it, buddy.
Starscream.
All right, let's see. Where are we? I gotta figure out where we are. Oh, sad news. So for those who are RPG enjoyers like myself, Fallout 2, one of the best fucking scenes in Fallout 2, the voice actor, I found out through Bucky this morning, is dead, sadly. Peter Jason, the voice actor who played the
Marine Sergeant.
The Marine
Drill
Sergeant, yep.
Go get the clip. Somebody.
Fetch it for me, Squealy. I feel like Squealy should do it.
What quit is it called again?
It's specifically the one where you lost your power armor. It's that one.
You lost your power armor.
Yes, that's the guy who
It
died.
will take you, I forget how many years to fucking
510 years.
to pay
In
off
this man's army.
man's army. He did a fantastic job.
I'll give you the animated one, because the animated one's fucking funny as shit. There you go.
Yeah, where's your power?
Welcome to Camp Navarro. So you're the new replacement. You are out of uniform, soldier. Where is your power armor? Don't have any? You expect me to believe that, maggot? The truth is, you lost an expensive piece of army issue
Fucking
equipment.
Omni-Man.
That suit is going to come out of your pay, and you will remain in this man's army until you are 510 years old, which is the number of years it will take for you to pay for a Mark II powered combat armor you have lost. Now get out of my face and don't come back until you look like a soldier!
That's great.
That was special, but also true. But yeah, unfortunately, he passed away. Which sucks. A nice, very good VA. He's chewing out recruits at the big Navarro base in the sky. That's true. One of the most iconic lines, I think, in all of gaming, honestly. So, actually, you know what? I think we should talk about this first, and then we'll talk about why this fucking matters. So, the sad news out of the way. Now it's time for you to be angry, Chatfish. Angry. Look at this thing. We'll refer to this thing as thing from now on, because of this thing's deeds.
Thing creature.
The
Teeth.
This is a alleged gamer, by the way, who is now gonna be the new president of Xbox. R.I.P.
What? This is an old article. By the
It
way.
was, yeah.
She's been
She is
she's a
currently.
new. Yeah.
Yes, November 6th, 2023. Xbox, it's an honor as always to kill studios. So yeah, basically this girl is the girl that actually Artemis refreshed me on, that we heard about a while back, saying that, oh, she's not really playing video games, doesn't care about it, but then immediately made another statement saying, oh, video games have played a massive role in my life. I've always loved video games.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of and the reason why I say she's quite disgusting, and I just find her repulsive, is specifically this thing. Tango Gameworks, the guys that made Hi-Fi Rush, right, that did a very good job, you know, she made a little post on their thing saying, happy 14th, celebrating their 14th years of development and making games. And she wished them, like, I hope you make a lot more. And how long after this post did she basically shutter their studio? Was it like a month or a week?
It was the post was made in March. The things are scheduled to close down in May, so like 2 months.
Yeah, so 2 months after this bitch here shuttered their studio. That's fucking awful. I've not even played Hi-Fi Rush, but I have a lot of friends who have, and they've spoken very, very well of the game, and you know, very good for Tango Games to produce something like that. So congratulations, you know, an awesome game, a blowout success, and then they shutter their studio. I want to point out that they shuttered this studio, but Obsidian Entertainment is allowed to make something like Avowed, something that nobody wanted. But
Yep.
games that people do want get shuttered. And it's by this person here, right? Who doesn't care about video games at all. And she is just merely a political activist, is what she is.
She just wants the message.
She's also there for the paycheck.
She's not there to make more money. She's there to push the message.
So one of the big reasons why she was put in this position is not because she liked games or gamers or whatever. She helped secure a contract in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and this is her reward for doing so. The position,
And she's done nothing but absolutely terrible with it ever since achieving this position. Not only have they shuttered many studios, like a ridiculous amount. Microsoft is basically surpassing EA with body count.
Yep.
And EA's body count is massive. I want to point out. That's not good. That's really bad. Also, this particular website Bucky sent me this article from is absolutely rancid. It's called the Black Wall Street Times. It says access is the new civil right, but that's bullshit. So this is a racially segregated fucking news website for racially segregated news. It's a segregationist site.
Yep.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? This is literally like a Nazi site.
It's okay when we do the racism.
This is literally fascism. Like, this is literally Nazism right here. This is literally
Not a name, not a number. There's nothing on Kibs. People did want Avowed. The Avowed that was shown back in 2017.
The lie. The
Yeah,
teaser.
you know what? People also want the Watch Dogs that were shown off in the first EA showing.
Yep, but they're never getting that.
Yeah, they never fucking get that.
Yeah, that game doesn't
They
exist.
can't even make that game today. That's how fucking.
That game would be a bit too spicy.
Trailers that eclipse the games. There's one interesting story about that with Killzone. Killzone 2's trailer was so good looking that when the PR people said, yes, the game plays exactly like the trailer, the developers looked at them and were like, We don't know how to do that. We don't know how to do that. To be fair, Killzone 2, they really tried, though. But yeah, that's another one of those legendary trailer things. There's so many game trailers where it's like, they are honestly so good, they're actually bad for the game. Gameplay reveals being chief among them.
Halo 5 Guardians.
I don't even remember what that gameplay trailer was. The
one
PR
where
about
Locke was
Locke, yeah.
Locke was hunting down Master Chief, and Master Chief has a gunshot wound to his chest armor, laying on the step of his own statue, commemorating his heroics. And he says, "Here is the fall of a hero."
That's so dumb. That was massively misleading.
Yes.
God damn. Rainbow Six Patriots. Trailers for games that just never got made. How about media that for games that never got made? StarCraft Ghosts, the book. Really good book. It actually pipes you up for the character Nova you're gonna play. Like a Confederate noble captured and brainwashed to basically kill her own like people, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Never came out.
Here's a question, Kibbs. Is Mass Effect gonna come out?
The new Mass Effect game? Yes. EA is not gonna let that die.
Yeah, I suspect that will come out.
Whether
I still think
BioWare is the ones making it or not is going to be entirely dependent on how much EA is going to gut BioWare. I honestly think it'd be better just to shutter BioWare at this point. And just build a new studio or commission a studio or literally pick up a studio equivalent of Warhorse and start funding them and buy them into your repertoire. Or something. Halo 5 was confusing. I had no idea what Cortana's motivation was. It's to protect humanity. But it was like the iRobots plot from the iRobots
That's
Will
because
Smith movie.
Halo 2, 3, 4, and part of 5 was supposed to be one game. That's why.
They got too ambitious.
It was literally 343's first foray into not replicating a game, but actually making a game. And they just took the dregs of whatever was left over from Bungie's creative ideas and then matched them together.
Yep, because the execution, right? Cortana turning evil and like becoming the enemy, taking that
Out of nowhere.
would have been like as if executed well and built up and made into a story. That could have been really like cool and like a good like sort of good guy character fall to
would
evil.
have fallen in line with how, with some of the DNA from their earlier games.
Yep, because Myth has that whole concept too. Like that was a big
Of
thing.
the AI going rampant and then hating the creator and all that jazz.
That's Marathon, not Myth.
Well, Marathon has that,
Marathon.
but Myth even has that with like the fallen heroes, basically being risen, like fallen heroes who saved each age, but being risen as undead lords
The
to
destroyer
plague.
of
Yep.
the.
No,
Yeah.
they just need to throw enough money at all the retired Mass Effect 2 devs to get them to come back.
Yeah, at this point, I think they need to do what we call like a recovery program. Basically, outreach towards older devs and be like, all right, how much do you want? Just get straight to the point. Like, go do that. Get the old writers back. Get Mass Effect 2's writer back. Because 3's writers, oh my fucking god. 2's writer really set up everything to be so good. We have to talk about it briefly for those who don't know. But 2 establishes a lot of like what the Reapers were actually meant to be. And what was actually the real thing and threat to the galaxy was the death of the universe, basically, through the void. Or what is it? The dark energy?
Dark energy.
Yeah, some sort of dark energy monster or something was killing galaxies. And that's so cool. It's cosmic horror level shit.
And then when the Reapers are, it's like, dude, we need to do this because we need reinforcements.
Yep, and the Reapers exist to cull life from the galaxy, so that they can continue to fight this eternal war. It's dark, it's fucking cool, it's twisted. And then it's like,
Yeah,
no.
it turns the Reapers from this fucking malevolent force to, yeah, they're still evil, but it's like, it's this or our galaxy gets snuffed out. So pick your
because even
poison.
in Mass Effect 2, they were playing a lot of the necessary evil things, because right off the bat, Cerberus as well. Cerberus is a human supremacist terrorist group, right? But despite them being what they are, their actually goals are actually aligned, and so you're actually working with people you never would. And so what Mass Effect 2 did was what 3 wanted to do, which showed the galaxy uniting despite differences, vast differences in culture and philosophy, to fight a common enemy. 3 fucked up because it does the opposite of that.
They wanted to tell their own story.
Yep. And the writers didn't follow what the setup was for 2.
They just ignored it and just left it there.
Because 1 and 2 play into the idea about this dark energy plot, while 3 just goes like, it was a machine code error. It's like, that's so stupid. A logic error, basically.
3, they wanted to play into the standard, like, space opera tropes.
It was bad. Like, the journey in 3 is kind of okay and fun in certain regards, but, like, it feels
then you get to the
disappointing.
Star Child.
The ending really unravels everything, and 1 expansion really fucks up things. Leviathan expansion and the ending ruin 3 from being like tying up the trilogy into being good. That's why 3 needs to be remade. They also go through that of reviving Shepard. Yeah, they do. They do that, and they don't change them, even though they could have. Mass Effect 3 Citadel was an apology.
Said,
yeah,
I
pretty
need
much.
him at his best.
Not only was Citadel an apology, but Citadel was not just an apology, but it was also just a fucking fanfic cop-out. Just that's what Citadel DLC was. It had some things that were funny in it, but like it was mostly just a cop-out. Like Grunt turning away the guest was funny. I appreciate that. But yeah. So when it comes to Mass Effect, I don't think they'll let Mass Effect die. I think Mass Effect is one of those things that they need. EA needs W's under their belt. They've been failing consistently quite repeatedly, and which is weird because they've done so well. They're one of those things where they do well in certain areas, but they do badly other. The Dead Space remake was good. The Command & Conquer remaster was good. They did really good on those things, and then they never followed them up with more. They could do so much good to repair their damage if they would just follow up these good things. Like make the Dead Space 2 remake next, make the next Command & Conquer remasters, and remaster the entire franchise, and then from the remasters, reboot the franchises. Because the remasters, what they're doing is they're effectively revitalizing interest in the setting. They're also revitalizing the damage done by the last games that killed the franchises. Both of these things succeeded, and I cannot understand for the life of me, despite these things succeeding as well as they are, EA's effectively repaired the reputation for those communities, but then repaired the reputation and then didn't do anything with it. Just sat there.
EA's retarded.
And then sat there while BioWare shat out Veilguard, which then brought EA's reputation back down again.
It's wasn't where they still don't have any plans on doing Dead Space 2.
Yes, I don't think they will. A part of me is actually starting to
won't.
doubt it. It's like, EA, you have an opportunity here to reclaim what you had.
They only did Dead Space 1 because people came to them and basically like, hey, we want to make this, and they said okay.
Yeah, they just licensed it out.
Well,
Yeah, it's the only reason.
They used actually their internal studio motive. And that's not the only reason. EA toys with the idea with Dead Space because they think they can. They look at Resident Evil every time Resident Evil comes out with a new game, and they're like, oh my god, EA want what Resident Evil has. We has title that can do that, Dead Space. And so they made Dead Space 1, right? Dead Space 1 did really well, but it didn't reach numbers that Resident Evil did. So they were like, okay, maybe we didn't market it enough. Marketed it harder. Didn't reach numbers that Resident Evil had again. Sold actually about the same. EA's furious, cuts budget, starts to intervene in development. Dead Space 3 comes out. Game was received poorly by the audience that was keeping it alive. Then they're like, well, nobody likes it, pulls plug on it. They bring it back because Resident Evil's remakes have revitalized interest in EA's exploration of horror genre. Like, oh my god, how the Resident Evil 4 remake did so good. Oh, and so did like the previous ones. EA wants a little bit of that pie. EA's gonna revitalize Dead Space. Gets a guy who's super passionate about Dead Space from the For Honor director to go revitalize the franchise, who's really big into it. Fucking gets a lot of great people from Motive to work on it, from their own internal house teams and stuff like that. They do a stellar fucking job with it. It is received very well and excites interest back into the franchise and basically successfully revitalizes a franchise. That's legendary to do that, by the way, revitalizing it. but EA has these outlandish expectations, not just for this game but all their games. It needs to sell like this well.
It needs to twice or triple the amount it was made for.
EA has produced many great games, but their expectation levels are set so absurdly high that they're not willing to settle for just great. They want to shock the world with how great they are. But that's just not going to happen. Just take being great and leave it at that.
No, they want to be the next Halo phenomenon.
They actually want that, yes.
You want to go grab Ubisoft, Kibbs?
I hate Ubisoft.
Because Ubisoft has this issue, but in spades. Because as we bring this up,
Shadows.
yes, it's getting even worse now for Shadows.
Oh no.
They're getting into more trouble with the Japanese government.
Yep.
Okay.
So Ubisoft has the problem that EA has, but in worse because it is just by itself, and its money problems are catastrophic. In terms of not only do they need a smash hit, but even their smash hit costs so much to make that it is unlikely to ever make back that amount of money.
They
Like
fucked
billions of dollars are needing to be made to keep them afloat.
That thing's gonna sink their entire fucking company.
Probably.
And it is so close to being released.
They're in so much they're in damage control mode really hard
The only game here
already.
that the only game I'm like when I look at this, all their new titles right here, it's showing us there's one game on this entire list that looks good,
Anno.
and it's just Anno. And
I'm
Anno
not
is
gonna lie,
a
I
niche
was-
city builder, so it's not going to
Out
sell
of curiosity,
insanely
I
well.
was looking at the Prince of Persia title they have there on the right, and I'm looking at that, and it's just like,
Artistically, that
as
looks
someone
dumb.
who's played the
Look at the
like,
hair.
That looks
just-
nothing like Prince of
I'm
Persia.
looking like that. It's just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
They made the
like,
Prince of
none
Persia
of these
basically black,
games-
basically.
Yes. Which is funny because he's not.
Persians.
Yeah, he was Persian.
Yeah.
A Persian prince.
Yes.
So
And Persians are supposed to be more Aryan-esque.
Yeah,
Like almost white.
actually, because a lot of like Aryans originally migrationally actually came from that region. The Indo-European migration, if I remember right. My migration history is a bit dusty, Chatfish. But yeah,
For Dusty.
because basically those people actually migrated to where Sweden, Germania, and stuff like that is.
But yeah, not only that, just the art aesthetic of it to me does. If they didn't have Prince of Persia above it, I would not have guessed that was going to be a Prince of Persia game.
there's nothing to really
I think
indicate.
I think Prince of Persia: Sands of Time was like the last good one.
Was that the
Mm,
first one?
Was it?
I'm pretty sure that's the first.
I thought
First
Sands of
game.
Time was not the first one.
No, it shouldn't have been the first
yeah,
one.
was
was
PS2.
that, oh, no, hold on, was that the island one?
I don't know. It's just one that you could rewind time and.
That doesn't narrow it down.
That's on the PS2. I remember that because I only
Yeah.
had the demo for it and it was cool.
And I think the other one was the one where you have like a smoldering arm.
Yeah, no, that's
That was
the one where
7th
you
gen.
actually-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one where you actually go to the island with the Dahaka, and you're trying to basically fix some time wibbly wobbly bullshit.
Sands of
lovely.
Time was the reboot of the Prince of Persia series.
Yes.
Yep, because remember the original Prince of Persia was super old.
It's ancient.
Yeah. Because they rebooted it on the 6th gen consoles,
2003.
and then it did really well. And then, eventually pooped and died.
Yeah, no, the only reason I bring that up is just like I'm looking at these games, and it's just like, eh.
Like Star Wars
To be fair,
Outlaws
I-
had potential, but it's too watered down. It's too safe, corporate. And because they played it too corporate and safe and didn't want to be
It-
dark, it's just bland.
Yeah, they didn't actually want to tell a crime story.
Yeah, you're not actually a criminal. You're just a good guy, smuggler. I want to be a criminal. Like, let me be evil. Like, let me do criminal things.
Unironically, like maybe like if they would have done a story where it's like, no, you were actually stealing, like from the rebels, and not like one of the the shady, like actually the Musavi rebel group.
You should be playing both sides and only benefiting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're out for number one, and number one is not the Rebel Alliance, it's not the Empire, it's not the criminal underworld, it's you. You play all sides. That's what it should have been.
Instead, no, you're basically just a good guy.
Yep, they fucked up. Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be a disaster. I don't think there's any way around that. That's just going to be a disaster.
So latest thing Damage Control they're trying to do is I saw a statement they released that you never have to play as the Black Samurai. You can choose to not play as him.
But the thing is,
I think that's a feature they added in last second because I get a feeling he's supposed to be a very major character.
he was supposed to be, but the thing is,
all the advertisements about him.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be playing an assassin, I would want to be like actually one of the samurai.
What, samurai?
No, because remember, samurai, like in its actual context, all that meant is you were a like warrior for a particular ward, and honor had a very different meaning to them than it does like contemporary, like right now. So it's like if you won, congratulations, that was honorable.
I know, I get that, but I feel like the Templars would have been part of the
Establishment.
Yeah.
Because
They would
the
be
assassins, assassins in the Assassin's Creed universe are usually like the underground, and they can't fight directly like the Templars can because they don't lack the resources. Because the Templars controlled the Roman Empire, and the assassins were what brought it down, or something like that. But they never showed that, and I was like, God, that would have been really cool. Like maybe Otakar was like an assassin. I don't know.
The thing is, assassins, like, you could do something with like the ninja in like Japan and all that jazz, but
dirty farmers.
They
With
only
how
needed to really do was change the black dude to an actual samurai Japanese person, and nobody would have really cared.
no.
Well,
Instead,
there's all kinds of other issues of them just stealing art assets, them just getting basic season for growing stuff wrong.
That's
like,
fine,
almost
but
everything.
there's a lot of things that they fuck up in other
Minutia,
games
but we can
like that.
overlook it. Yep.
and no one cares.
But it's like they made this dude like the front and center fucking
Yes.
selling point was the first and only black samurai.
And
Yep.
not only
And then they
didn't even
double
try to go
down.
They didn't even try to go down like, look, this is like alt history stuff. They said no, this was real, and then people started looking into it, and it's like, no, that's not the case.
Yeah, and the people they brought forward that to the
Were the
experts they
experts
brought forward were people that basically
Plagiarized
just
and lied.
plagiarized or basically
Made it
tried
up.
to pass their
Made it
fan
up.
fiction as being historically
Yep,
accurate.
the
and then
main
got
writer,
in huge trouble
the
for
main
it.
writer I did look up, who allegedly made like research, and 90% of the stuff about this black samurai is
Refers
made the
only to
fuck
his own
up.
book.
Yep, refers to
Yes.
himself, and his sources is like you know that meme from Maxor. He's that guy. He is unironically
No,
that guy.
It's even better. My source is me, myself, and I.
Yeah, pretty much.
And one of the, I think the latest thing that they've gotten in trouble, like they're getting
So
hot water with, was that you can apparently go and
Hold up.
loot
So
the.
one last quick note on the historical accuracy thing, right? I want to point out that Assassin's Creed, the original Assassin's Creed, people point out that the crossbow thing wasn't real. That didn't exist. And you know what
and they
they
didn't
did?
have it in there.
They removed
Yep.
it because it wasn't historically accurate, and because Ubisoft was like, we want to respect and honor historical authenticity.
No more.
Well, one of the things that one of like the big things with Assassin's Creed is, what was it, the big cathedral that burned down? Because of how historically accurate they made it in game, they were able to actually use that as
To
material
rebuild the
for
fucking
rebuilding it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the research from Ubisoft actually helped rebuild Notre Dame, thanks to Ubisoft.
Mhm.
And
Because they took a bunch of pictures and made 3D models of it and everything.
yep, because the research teams were legendary. Like their ground teams that they actually send out to research sites that they make are still pretty good.
Actually do their job very well.
Yeah. So like not everybody at Ubisoft is trashed. Their ground research team that they send, because game studios that do historical coverage of games will usually send out teams to go investigate certain historical locations to get a vibe or authenticity check for their game. This is expensive. Paradox does this even for their games, but it's useful to actually do that. Like when, for example, even in my own case, when we had Carlos do a little bit of a Euro road trip where he went around and traveled various locations in Europe to study different ancient ruins and buildings, that information, doing that, benefited the research and authenticity of our structures and architecture because of the pictures and sources he was able to gather. Because that is important. Like, never underestimate that. They're unsung heroes when it comes to these kinds of games. People that go and actually research buildings or get pictures of actual locations and actually try to be authentically producing them. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of traveling.
And in Assassin's Creed Shadows, they have fucking the pre-order? No, it was
Tory Gate?
the Tory Gate issue. So look up Assassin's Creed Shadows Tory Gate, Tori, Kips.
I shall check it.
Yeah. No, they're constantly doing stuff to basically mock.
One-legged
history.
Tory Gate, Assassin's Creed Shadows or whatever.
They're just
Are you
apparently they've also been mixing up.
Well, before you say anything, Squealy, let him find it first.
waiting for the show? Yeah.
Oh no. You're talking about that little fucking statue thing.
Yes. Wait, yeah, show that. So go ahead, Squealy. Are you going to talk about it or do you want me to?
Was it them referencing the? Oh yes, it's them referencing the tragedy of Monument as promotional material.
they used it as a cool design, chat. This one-legged Tory Gate. The only problem is that this is like referencing 9/11's like World Trade Center, like the rubble of the World Trade Center in your game,
and having your character stand on it.
Yep.
Like you see like little arms sticking out of the rubble of the Trade Center, and like there's like the Assassin's Creed character standing on it, like looking cool. Like what the fuck? Like that's just so.
Fight the Templar.
That is so in bad taste.
Apparently, they've also been mixing up, confusing Japanese architecture and other stuff for Chinese.
Yep.
And like cultural norms and stuff. Like they're just shitting all over.
So they aren't actually
ancient
sending out
Japanese history.
authentic
And
research teams like they did with France.
Yeah, it's like Japanese, Chinese, totally similar.
Well, that's because the original people they sent out told them that it's not real.
Well,
It's not a thing.
the research team did do that. Wait, didn't they get?
Yeah,
they got in trouble, fired, didn't they? Wait, hold on,
hold on.
because I remember hearing about something in regards to this. Because I'm pretty sure. Also, if you have an article you want us to take a look at for gaming news, you can just DM me on the Discord server, Kibbs.
The latest controversy thing, though, I saw was that apparently it's now hinted at in the game through in-game material and stuff that you can go and raid the Imperial tombs
Yes,
and
you can.
steal the armor and stuff in there.
Yep. So they have made a African man raid tombs for samurai.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was an American. And Chat, I want you to remember. People believe this to different degrees, but it was a belief that like the emperors were living gods.
Yep.
I want you to remember that.
Living gods.
And you can raid the gods too, as far as these people are concerned. That is what they're letting you do.
And by the way, unlike Indiana Jones, where you're raiding a temple of a dead religion or a dead people that don't exist anymore, you are raiding a temple of a currently living people. And it wouldn't be such a bad thing if the game was actually like, you're a assassin dude, this is what you look like, you're actually
And
Japanese,
you don't actually care about the
and
native people.
your character is evil, and so he's doing something evil. Okay.
No, he's the good guy.
He's
there to
evil.
fight oppression.
But the issue is that this is a good guy. This is representing your culture. Here's a black person who is now you. And by the way, you are not as important as him. It'd be like...
That's why they bow to him.
Yep.
One of the other things was I think they might be having a lawsuit about was some of the promotional material they were selling was just straight stolen and like copy pasted from a historical reenactment group in Japan.
Yep. There's so much wrong with this.
They didn't do
Yeah,
any
they just-
research. They didn't do.
they actively are just stealing assets and art and other things from them and then marketing it as their own.
So Ubisoft usually sends out research teams. Did they just, when the research teams came back, did they just, or did they even send them out to begin with?
I'm not
heard
finding
about
anything.
them sending
the
out any
moment.
research teams.
Because they used to do that. Because they did that for Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, where they actually sent out teams to go investigate the locations. They did that for pretty much, I think, almost all of them, as far as I know. They would like look at either, if there was no place to investigate with a research team, they would just have the research team basically study whatever information they could pull up on it. But it doesn't appear that the research teams did any work whatsoever with this project.
They also had a promotional
Or even
katana that was
existed.
literally from one. Yeah, I heard about that. They basically just stole anime designs and stuff and marketed it as
I
historical.
Jeez,
have a
fuck,
response from the research team from the Twitter. Don't know how useful it is, but I'm posting it in the VC chat.
There's also the screen rant, people going over their team.
Life is stranger than fiction.
Assassin's Creed. Where's the quotes?
Go down.
Is that the?
Right there. Yeah, in the blocks, yeah.
Oh, they used Brooke. Brooke Davies says, I think it was really great for the team to have so much material to look at when we were preparing to make the game. I think everybody connects with different inspiration in different ways. So there was a lot to choose from when we were doing research. For me personally, something that I really connected with early on after joining the team was a historical work by a former samurai who went on to become a scribe and wrote about the history during the era the game is set in. His name was Ota Gayuchi, I'm going to butcher these names by the way, and it was under a chronicle of Lord Nobunaga. And the way his description, I mean, he was a samurai, so I think that perspective of somebody who had taken part in battles and seen difficult things, or I imagine that he was really interesting to me. Became sort of a thread or a little lifeline that pulled me into the world, and that really ended up being something I came back to for inspiration. Brooke Davies then goes on to say, there are many roads to our historical characters, as you say. There are some characters that you look at in a historical period and you think, oh, okay, this person is going to be interesting. And then we also look at the story that we want to tell, and we look for opportunities in the recorded history to say, I wonder who, or in this area, or just sort of looking at the history, because sometimes life is stranger than fiction. I mean, we read about all these very interesting people and their lives, and then the story takes shape. You think, okay, I could use somebody with that profile, or this person has something very relevant, or a tie or a connection to something that we want to work on. He then says, oh, that's a really interesting question. For me personally, I think that I kind of look at the historical figures as people and take them as they are. Like I said, life can be stranger than fiction. So it usually feels like a great opportunity to sort of take these characters from words on the pages of history and elevate them to lived experiences. And it's also very interesting to work within the confines of another person's life when writing, but on the flip side, even with our fictional characters like Naui, we are very much a product of our environment. So even when writing a fictional character, we are looking at how they connect to the setting. Now, as a shinobi from Iga, the birthplace of the shinobi, and her father, phone's doing something weird again. There we go. Who was a real historical figure. So the intention is to make all the characters, historical or not, feel grounded like they are part of the real world. Fight as yes, right. Okay. Fight as Noe. Brooke says, Screamrant asks, how does the canon mode work? Okay, let's see. Yeah, correct. It will play, just play. So the canon mode, I believe, you can select in the game option settings, and when it's on, the game will unfold as if you had made those choices, but you won't see them. Yeah, it was interesting to look back when the story had been written and sort of, okay, so this particular interview doesn't seem, I don't see any section that's talking about specifically this.
So, but basically they've done a shit ton of research is what this is telling you, Kibbs.
Yeah.
And they've made a decision to write it in a way, regardless of the research they've done.
Yeah.
They're just telling you how much they put into it.
So-
Screely's, on the other hand, on the Assassin's Creed, yeah, it has the apology bullshit going on in it.
Oh, that
But
thing.
that's one out of 4, so you got to open up the actual one and
Jesus fuck,
Bullet.
there's 1 out of 4.
yeah.
So they just not because the thing is,
They received a
when we-
lot of backlash.
when you read Brooke Davies' like thing, it sounds like the team did extensive research, and I do believe they
Yep.
actually did. But I don't think that the directors or whatever actually listened to the research. They sort of just threw it in the scrap heap.
Mm-hmm.
Because he seemed very impassioned when talking about it, but he also didn't seem like he connected very well with what the team had. He's like, well, I think they're doing
It
this.
seemed like what they were like, just from the first interview that you were reading, that it's like, okay, we have these people and we're gonna like the idea of taking what they're reading about and then quote unquote elevating it to a lived experience.
They've done it before with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, but
Division.
the statement "lived experience" is a
Yeah,
It's a
weird.
loaded term. It's a loaded
Yeah.
term.
Shouldn't she be a Kanochi? Wait, isn't that the female ninja?
Yep.
A lack of understanding. All right, let's read their apology. Jesus fucking Christ, this is a shit show. To our esteemed Japanese community. I don't think you think that. A message from the Assassin's Creed Shadows development team. First, we want to express our heartfelt thanks for all your support for the Assassin's Creed series, which now has its own history spanning almost 20 years. Over this time, we have explored various settings, time periods, characters from an assassin during the Third Crusade to a Viking in the 9th century England, and countless more. For many of our team, creating an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan has been a long cherished dream. Since the announcement of Assassin's Creed Shadows, we have received many positive reactions, but also some criticism, more criticism, including from you or our Japanese players. We share your passion for history and deeply respect your care for the historical and cultural integrity of your rich heritage. We would like to address a few points to clarify our intentions and creative decisions. This was July, by the way, last year, so this is quite dated.
Yep.
Overall authenticity efforts. We have put significant effort into ensuring an immersive and respectful representation of feudal Japan. That is a damn dirty lie right there. However, our intention has never been to present any of our Assassin's Creed games, including Assassin's Creed Shadows, as factual representations of history or historical characters. Instead, we aim to spark curiosity and encourage players to explore and learn more about historical settings we get inspired by. Assassin's Creed Shadows is the first and foremost designed to be an entertaining video game that tells a compelling historical fiction set in feudal Japan, but for some reason doesn't have a focus on Japanese characters and has a black guy instead. Our team extensively collaborated with external consultants, historians, researchers, and internal teams at Ubisoft Japan to inform our creative choices. We then proceeded to throw all those choices into the garbage, or to the conversation. Despite these sustained efforts, we acknowledge that some elements of our promotional material have caused concern within the Japanese community. For this, we sincerely apologize. All game footage presented so far is in development, and the game will keep evolving until launch. Based on the constructive criticism we have received, we will continue our efforts until we put this game into your hands and beyond. We also want to clarify that while we have been consulting with many people throughout the development process, they are in no way responsible for the decisions that are taken by the creative teams in interest of the gameplay and entertainment. Consequently, we respectfully request that any criticism not be directed at our collaborators, both internal and external.
I like the idea that they use the word collaborator.
Like, that's a bit of a weird choice, collaborators. That insinuates you've done something naughty.
Yeah.
The thing is, in isolation, no, but collaborate.
It's a poor choice
has
of
some
words considering the context of everything else.
It has baggage with it, yeah.
You don't want to use that here. Creative liberties, because everything here is going to be looked at with a magnifying glass, and it's very clearly they're choosing their words carefully, but they're choosing them poorly at the same time. Creative liberties and historical inspirations. While we strive for authenticity, sort of, in everything that we do, Assassin's Creed games are works of fiction inspired by real historical events and figures from its inception. The series has taken creative license and incorporated fantasy elements to craft engaging and immersive experiences. The representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. His unique and mysterious life, which is not very mysterious, and nor is it particularly unique, made him an ideal candidate to tell an Assassin's Creed story with the setting of feudal Japan as a backdrop. While Yasuke is depicted as a samurai in Assassin's Creed, we acknowledge that this is a matter of debate and discussion. We have woven this carefully into our narrative, not really, and with our other lead characters, the Japanese shinobi Naoi, who is equally important in the game. Our dual protagonists provide players with different gameplay styles. We greatly value your feedback and encourage you to continue sharing your thoughts. We respectfully, while we understand that meeting everyone's expectation is very difficult, we sincerely hope that when Assassin's Creed Shadows launches on November 15th, players in Japan and around the world will appreciate the dedication, effort, and passion we have poured into it. The Assassin's Creed development team. So this is basically a long, frivolous, and pointless statement of that doesn't matter. None of this matters, because the reality is that what they were effectively doing is there was somebody inside the studio that is basically got into a position of power, and what they have started to do is they have been like, there are black people now, and there are black people in Japan, because Japan cannot be just Japanese. That's anti-globalist. And so this is a mentality that you actually see in the Assassin's Creed Vikings game, but nobody complained about. Not notably, anyways. The difference here is that we're seeing a little bit more backlash because it's so front and center. In the Assassin's Creed Viking games, they didn't parade it around, but they had women taking very primary roles in like Viking culture, and that just did not happen.
Leaders, like it wasn't just like shield maidens, which were a thing,
or nobles.
It was just like
randoms.
Proper raid leaders of like warrior bands, and it's like that
did not happen.
Really happen.
Yeah, that just did not happen. That's a fabrication. We made it up. It's bullshit.
At this point, they are intentionally trying to antagonize the Japanese.
Well, they're not trying to antagonize, they're trying to overwrite. So you gotta remember what their goal here is. Their goal isn't antagonism, their goal is to erase the history and uniqueness of your culture.
And yes. Because one of the latest gameplay footage stuff showed Yasuke, whatever the fuck his name is, going in and destroying a Shinto shrine.
Yep.
Which
they showed
it
off
into massive trouble with. Like that was the like big thing. Look what you can do in the game. Just destroy and harass people.
The Shinto shrine stated that they would never have allowed their shrine to be depicted in the game had they been asked.
Yep. What's funny is if you look at the Assassin's Creed Vikings game, you literally go and defile churches in that game.
Mm-hmm.
You pillage and you murder and massacre everyone there, and then you take them as slaves to be sold off.
I will say, at least for that one, they're not trying to pretend you're being respectful. It's like, no, we're going to raid. That's the entire point of where your characters go.
That did happen historically, right? That there's actually precedence for this. The Vikings did raid churches because they had a lot of valuables in it. They did take slaves.
That's where expensive shit was.
They pillaged and raped and they murdered holy men for the fun of it.
Yep.
Just what they did.
Maybe not necessarily even in that order.
We don't play as Leonardo da Vinci in AC2 Revelations, but now we must play as a real historical figure. Yeah. Well, you never do. Ezio Auditore is not. You don't play fucking Altair. Altair isn't real, you know.
Correct.
He's a made up character too. Desmond's a fake character too.
Not only was he a made up character, he wasn't made up to be a level of such a notable character.
Yes.
He was just some guy who the only reason he was important to the story is he happened to be the actual character, Desmond's ancestor. That was his only notable trait.
Yep, and that they're all part of the Assassin's Creed Order, and they maintain the Assassin's Order. The Order of Assassins have been maintained through his bloodline.
Yeah, he never accomplished something like murdering the king or something.
Yeah, he murdered a bunch of other characters, and usually they weren't major historical characters. They were side characters. The main villain in Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood was that one guy who basically raids your castle. Pope. Yeah, the fake pope. And he's not even real. You don't ever kill real people. You're killing fake people. that don't exist.
Yeah.
I would say you should word it. You're killing fictional characters.
Fictional
not like,
characters, and the fictional pope
Not
wasn't
historical characters.
wasn't actually
Yes.
a representation of the Christian church. They were actually a agent from the Templar order who was there to subvert the church, and you killing them was a good thing because you were actually unironically helping the church.
Which, unironically, that was even a plot point in the first game where you're talking to one of the crusading kings and you're trying to explain to him these Templar are trying to fuck with the natural order of things, and then after a fight where you have to prove your worth, he believes you.
Yep, and you actually earn his respect because in the first game you're dealing with like the Arabs and you have the Christians and they're like fighting each other, and you're trying to work both sides because you're like, okay, listen, there's actually something, like you guys have your own reason why you're fighting each other, but there's something else behind the scenes going on here. And the
There's a
Templars,
greater enemy.
the Templars are manipulating both of you, actually.
And even back then, the Templars weren't necessarily evil.
They
They
had-
were just very focused on order.
They wanted control.
They want
Is what they wanted.
the Templar in Assassin's Creed lore are actually they're globalists. They want to basically subvert every culture, and they want to basically rule it. That's the main enemy in Assassin's Creed has always been globalists, because that's what the main faction is. Templars. Templars want to create a one world government that's controlled by them, and they think that they know what's best for humanity, and that control through strict order is the only way, while the assassins believe more in freedom and personal liberties. It's actually pretty...
Which is really weird when you look at the story it's based off of, but that's its own thing.
I know. But it's rather interesting, because it's like personal liberties versus, dictative, authoritative one-world
And the
government.
thing is, there are points in the story, like the first game that is, that show that to a certain degree, the Templar are right in certain situations.
Well, it's like the Templar don't want, like, their overall, like, reason why they're doing is coming from a good place. It's how they want to achieve that good thing is what makes them evil.
They're not malicious in that they're actively lying to people. They do genuinely believe that order leads to a better world.
But Templars are actually capitalists. Yeah, see that they're actually not, because in Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations, we very quickly established that the Templars are actually globalists. They always have been. They don't really believe in money and that stuff. They don't believe in any of that. Their ideology is actually so far beyond in that they think that they should guide humanity and they should be in charge of mankind.
They believe in those concepts as a means of control. Is
Yep.
how they believe in.
They'll use money to gain control, but beyond that, they think money is an obstacle because it's an annoyance thing that they have to use to get what they want, which is power. I really like the overall theme of Assassin's Creed and the idea of, like, the legacy of the bloodline thing, connecting history to that, because it's actually a sci fantasy setting, believe it or not. But they completely dropped that, and because they dropped that story arc with Desmond, and I have criticisms towards it too, but it is far better than what we got. Like, I think we can all agree on that note. I miss Desmond Miles. Okay, I want him back.
Time that Desmond was from, not necessarily Desmond.
No, I miss him too, because what replaced him is bad. Replaced him.
He was
I think
already bad though.
I think after Revelations, they should have taken the formula up until then and just improved upon it. And instead, they went to 3 and then Black Flag. And then from Black Flag, they just went fucking nuts with it.
Because it's like, oh wow, people actually like our fucking.
Well, I like
Fuck it, we're pirates now.
Assassin's Creed Black Flag was fun, and I do like the game, but I think
ruined
Black Flag
Assassin's
killed
Creed.
Assassin's Creed, sadly.
It unironically did.
It killed Assassin's Creed.
Also, if I ever play that game and my crew starts singing, I'm going to shoot each and every one of them.
Yar har fiddly dee.
And the only other modern
Evil hands.
Assassin's Creed Origins also, not only what that did, is that effectively killed the gameplay. It turned it into an RPG, and a grindy RPG at that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
It did.
Yeah, it was
So dastardly to quickly touch on the thing. If I remember right, they were touching on humans were a alien slave race
Yep.
in 2. But they changed some of that, and it became its own weird thing. So yes, that is true.
Yep, because all
As
the
far as
artifacts
I'm
are to
aware-
control humans. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, in Revelations, at the end of that, it shows the humans running away after setting the chain of events that would wipe out the whatever the precursors were named.
That were
I can't
controlling
remember.
them.
Yeah, and then one of them was like underneath, like the Vatican, and it forced Desmond to stab someone. It was weird.
Yep, because she was a spy for the Templar Order.
Yep, because she was actually going to betray you.
Yep,
She never loved you.
which
She-
was fucking great. That was a good fucking
Yeah, because I felt sad about
Uno
it.
reversal.
Very Templar E.
Because she was kind of cute. And then she's like, yep, no, just kill her. And it's like, well, she was evil, actually. She was.
Because it was showing you that she was planning to betray you,
Yep.
but you don't know whether or not what you were being showed was
Is
real.
genuine.
Yep. She always well, yeah. But it's
I
heavily
remember right,
hinted at that she always was intending to
If I
betray you.
remember right, she did like Desmond insofar as if she was able to turn him, she would have been fine with that. But if not, she was willing to kill you.
There were email chains where she was sending out encrypted emails to somebody about their status and where they were,
Yep.
and that was the clue that she was a spy.
Yep, because they seeded that in the story. They did a good job
Yeah,
with it.
they did.
Oh, damn
Now they
it.
know Scots for some reason. Oh, Valhalla's so gay.
Odyssey introduced gods, I think, or was it the Egyptian one? Either way, the origin. It
That
didn't,
would be
Odyssey did have gods and deities, because if you remember when you stopped, you fought like one of the first ones, and you're like, okay, this is dumb. I'm not doing this anymore.
well, yeah, not only that, but like there's an expansion that has Atlantis in it. Like it's like, okay, we're entering the realms of science fiction here, but Borderline. And so when I see that this whole debate, by the way, about Assassin's Creed Shadow, about it like them trying to be authentic, like a lot of people coming into this forgot what Assassin's Creed has become, and also a lot of people at Ubisoft have also lost touch with what people want from Assassin's Creed. The reason why we're seeing this jarring thing with the Shadows thing and be as much as it is because this brought Assassin's Creed back into people's limelight again, and people who fondly remember the old games are now looking at it again, going like, "What has this become?" That's like,
I become.
my dearest consumer.
I become a monolith of detritus, mediocrity.
Just garbage. Oh, Dead Assassin's Creed Origins being lauded as this great thing. I felt so out of I'm like, am I out of touch? No, it is the world that is out of touch.
Until people start saying Unity was actually a really good game.
Unity wasn't. It was nice of them to give Unity for free to everyone because in order to bring awareness to the Notre Dame thing, that was a good PR move. But that's about all they did. Unity was such a disappointment. They've been so far out of touch with what Assassin's Creed should be ever since Black Flag. Black Flag killed the franchise.
Yep, because they saw that people didn't give a fuck.
It's not a
about
bad
the
game,
story.
but it killed the franchise, sadly.
Yes, because it's like
it
we
made
can
them realize that
they could just do
Well-
whatever and not make an Assassin's Creed game, and people will buy it.
They
even though
killed
it's
off Juno and
Assassin's
supplemental
Creed.
materials. Well, I didn't know that, so thanks.
Gibbs, don't you fucking lie. You didn't even care.
Juno is the black-haired girl, right? The nerdy girl, the girl who should have my babies.
That means nothing to me.
The girl who should. I think that's Juno. Juno is the black-haired girl, right? The nerdy one. I remember them. There's the little British guy who helps you out, who I thought was going to be the traitor, by the way, but he was actually
That's just
loyal.
because he was British. But let's keep it. That's just because he was British.
That too, but also they kind of there's somebody who's gonna betray, but who? And he was kind of like the red herring. He's actually loyal.
Juno was the one from the holograms. No, ass plague. No, she's one of the aliens, says Billy.
Is she one of the aliens? Was she hot? Bangable? Breedable, maybe? I thought we were talking
Okay,
about the black
Beano.
girl. Listen, these are actual humans, though. Okay, I'm not like Beano, where it's like, "Hey, see this dog?" He's like, "Is she hot?" And it's like, "Beano." It's
I
like,
can fix her, he says.
oh my god, he says a lot.
He can't do
wants
that.
the post.
Only
He sees
that's-
a horrific monster that has like 3 heads and currently convulsing in pain. I can fix that, he says.
Little dastardly
Yeah.
bucketfishes.
Skeletor
Assassin's Creed is an
meme,
example
"Jokes on
of
you,
using
I'm
a
into that."
Shut up, hands. Assassin's Creed is an example of using a franchise to keep making money on brand recognition and being afraid of actually making a new IP with new gameplay. Yes, that is true. But it is unfortunate. Modern gaming is a delusion of everything you know and love. No, that is false. That is actually false. Modern gaming is not a delusion of everything you know and love. It's unfortunate, but modern franchises or modern interpretations of franchises that you and I loved have degenerated. Yes, but modern gaming as a whole is not, in fact, bad at all. That's completely
Things are
wrong.
actually
We
like,
actually have
gaming
a
has
lot of
improved.
great games coming out right now, and we have a lot of great games overall, and gaming hasn't marched forward. But it's not with Halo, it's not with Call of Duty, it's not with Assassin's Creed.
It's with the It's with the AA and the indie.
Yep, well,
Games.
even some AAA games actually, because even Helldivers 2 is got the budget. Well, not they didn't get the resources, but it has resources from Sony to help augment its capabilities. But yeah, no, gaming has not stepped backwards. It's marched forward, but sadly there have been casualties.
Casualty.
Yep, and sadly Assassin's Creed is one such sad casualty. And it died not because of gaming marching forward, it died because it was so successful that they got lazy and didn't want to innovate. And when they actually did finally come to innovate, they didn't respect what came before. Black Flag was a success, but Black Flag spelled the doom of the entire franchise. Because they took what was the story was going, threw it under the bus, and then because they had done that, they compromised. And because of what they did with Black Flag, they were willing to be like, well, our games are stagnating again. What if we throw away the gameplay in favor of making it entirely about something else? And so that's the big thing. Well, apparently the government is not going to fund the woke shit in gaming anymore. Well, just because the government won't fund it doesn't mean there aren't other people, other organizations dedicated to doing that. Because there are. Unfortunately. Now that will help dispel it. Yes, you are correct. But the issue is because of the era of woke games, now what we need to see happen is the slow, gradual removal of people in positions of power to be taken out of power. So they're going to lead these ships into the ground and crash them, sort of like with Christopher Barrett, right? Christopher Barrett being a casualty of this war is actually a good thing. He is now eliminated. He is no longer a threat, or well, hopefully won't be.
Don't worry, he'll join a different company. It's like, I was the guy that did Halo, therefore I will be here.
That's
And
how it-
I will
that's
make money
how
off of
it-
this company and destroy it.
That's how it usually is.
Yep.
They'll get fired from one company, hired by another.
But I think in this guy's particular case, I think it's too damning. There comes a certain point in which you step over the line too many times and you just can't get it back. The thing is with Peter Molyneux, while he's still around and lurking and skulking and plaguing the industry, is that he never actually like molested people or was a creep or a freak about it.
Well, he was French.
That's
That
British.
is pretty bad.
He's British, actually.
But he feels
Just as
French.
bad.
He doesn't speak French.
When I hear his name, it's like, that's a French
He
guy's
speaks like a French. He behaves like a Weasley French. Yes, you're right.
name. And he sounds like it. So
No, he
I
sounds.
don't believe you
He
when he
sounds
says
very
he's
British. You're wrong. Stupid, squealy. Doesn't know the
Europeans
French accent
all-
between a
are all
British
the
accent.
same.
Oh my god.
They
you're
all-
so
they all sound the same.
stupid.
They all act the
You're so
same.
stupid.
they are all one and then the same.
Squealy's brain, size of peanut.
Okay. The big thing is okay. So I'm back now. The issue with Black Flag is that it was set in that Abstergo was making video games, right?
Yep.
And that's why Black Flag was made, because it had nothing to do with Desmond, because Desmond was dead. So you're no longer following the assassin's lineage anymore. You're just following a video game.
If I remember right, it was specifically they were using the I forget the name of the machine that Desmond was using, and they were basically using that to make like the new age games, and that was the game you were playing.
The Animus is what it was
That's
called.
so dumb.
Yes, Animus. That was it.
Yep. And so from that point on, they could just do whatever they wanted because they're no longer tied to a coherent story, and allowed them to jump around anywhere and everywhere that they hadn't already burned to the fucking ground with their game.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Meanwhile, Internet Edge is shitting itself because I accidentally opened one of these game article things. There's so many goddamn ads. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm just fixing it right now.
There's a donation fee you to read Reguline.
The best thing is 50 Donkey Kongs. Reguline is not an Italian. Thank you.
That actually says Reguline the best Italian.
That's true. Read their donation, Squealy. All right, let's see. I got a bucketfish request. Oh no. Well, let's see. This is from Heretical Nerd, pulling it up Neo. Right, Neo. So chatfishes can see with their little porky fishy bodies. So let's see. This says alumni Harvard. 2017, Sarah Bond's boss, Phil Spencer. You know, hold on a second. Let me just check the context. I hope Heretical Nerd typed something next to that. You just posted it. Never mind. Posted it with no context. Making me read. So I can't just skim. I actually have to read the whole thing.
Reggie's page
In
should be docked.
2017, Sarah Bond, shut up. Sarah Bond's boss, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox Gaming, warned her that working in the industry would be very difficult. Not just for the usual reasons that corporate America can be tough, but also because as a black woman in the gaming industry. Well, guess what? As a black woman in the gaming industry, maybe have you ever thought that it had to do with something, the fact that you said that you don't think video games are important and you don't really care about video games, and then lied to everyone and then claimed you did, and then celebrated a studio's 14th year anniversary making games and the fact that they made a good success, and then proceeded to terminate that studio while also at the same time green-lighting things like Avowed that didn't see the same returns? Maybe it had something to do with that. Maybe that's why it's hard for you, because you're incompetent. That has nothing to do with misogyny, racism, and online harassment. That's the excuses of a weak person, a talentless person. Sarah Bond. I fucking hate people. I hate Sarah Bond. She's honestly a...
Wow, Jesus. You haven't met her yet, Gibbs.
I don't need to. Like her
No, there's
Don't worry, you will.
There's a quote from her.
I hope not. No.
Gibbs.
Turn to Spencer. Oh god, where? I'm reading already.
Right there. Yeah.
Sarah Bond, MBA, 2006, turned to Spencer, her gaze direct, and said, "Phil, my aunt died yesterday. She was a colonel in the army in the era of segregation. That was hard." What the fuck?
Yep.
Who
Hey,
cares?
I'm gonna bring up my dead aunt.
Not only that, it's stolen valor because let's just say she did actually have an aunt that was a colonel in the army. She was the one who would have that experience, not her.
Oh my god. He paused for a moment, she recalls, and then offered her a job. Because you literally, what you did is you did a fucking, you made him feel bad, emotionally manipulated Phil, even though Phil's incompetent, and then proceeded to get a job out of that.
Can I have a pity party? Yeah, we'll throw you a pity
She
party.
did not get her job from merit, she got her job from pity. This explains so much about
And
her.
because she was black.
It also explains why she also hates games so much. She hates video games. She shutters studios that are successful, and she promotes studios that aren't successful, but are incredibly woke and pushing some same retarded ideology because she's incompetent.
So what she wanted to be, Gibbs, is she wanted to be a VP or president over actual Microsoft, not fucking Xbox.
In the games department, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and so that's where she actually wants to be. But I can guarantee you right now she's torpedoing her future career by doing all this damage. She will not ascend, hopefully. Hopefully, God's willing. Inside of Microsoft.
The thing is, if she's as weaselly as it reads, that wasn't her fault. That was other people for doing X, Y, Z, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
She can't be her
as
fault. It's someone else's fault.
one of 7 children, she experienced her share of racism and misogyny, as every black woman has. But she's grateful for the experience, all her experience growing up.
Racism is only only exists usually in either very obscure places, or more commonly with people like Sarah Bonds, who is a modern day real racist. It either is a fictitious character, a actual genuine article that is so incredibly rare they don't actually have any positions of power because they're normally scum usually, and so nobody actually gives them jobs, so they never have any power, or it's someone like this, a real racist who actually obtains power through manipulation.
Heretical Nerd says he also worked at McKinsey, a company that is the one that made the first surveys that said DEI was good, actually.
She's truly a rancid individual. This explains why Microsoft is continuing to double down on the DEI stuff. She needs to be gotten rid of, either fired or, an act of God. God fires her for them. Rewrites up the document. She's like, wow, it's pretty nice of him. But yeah, she definitely needs to go. She's holding back Microsoft from actually doing great work and holding back a lot of good studios and good personnel.
Yep.
But the big thing here, I think, to take away is that, I don't really need to know anymore. She's as rancid as she gets. Like, she looks rancid. She looks like she's disgusted to be there. She hates Microsoft. She hates Xbox. She hates white people. She hates other black people because they're not her. She hates everything. This is the look of a hateful and spiteful person. This is the look of racism.
Also, Gibbs, calm down for a second. Also, Coco, you can't be typing stuff like that in chat.
You don't need to say that out loud. You don't need to say that out loud. You can just type that. Moving on. But yeah, so she doesn't belong here. She doesn't belong in the industry. She should be removed and never come back. Okay, is that the last Chatfish article? Chatfish, do you have any articles you want me to look at?
I was sent something by Boogerton.
Send it to me.
I posted a while back. I'll grab this link first and send it. That's wrote Boog instead of Kib into the fucking search.
Hurry up, I will dispose of the kitten. He's like, meow. Alright. NetEase scoops up Suda and Yakuza creators as a big selling point for consumers. Marvel Rivals is another major success for them. Fuck over the Rivals team when they get confident and can the games the JP guys were working on. Fucking told you guys, don't trust China. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've been saying that for fucking ages, yet I got fucking told by a certain somebody to be quiet about that because it doesn't make the message look good. But yes, China is bad and evil. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say this in the industry, but China is never the good guys. Marvel Rivals is not a good guy game. It's made by NetEase, a Chinese company. China does not like Japan, does not like Korea, does not like you. It does not like you, Stone Age. It doesn't like you, Chow Chow. It does not like you, Dastardly, Todd, Stone Age.
Impression, do it.
Fine.
Kibbs, I can't wait.
Actually, on that note,
they hate all of you.
I did see an article thing. That was a while ago. But basically, Tencent, Chinese company who's trying to buy up Ubisoft. There's theories floating around now that the reason Shadows is being so damning is from Tencent influence, aiming towards Japan's cultures.
It's 100%. I've said it, and I said it a time again, and I feel like I'm going to jump on my soapbox again. But like, wokeism is the byproduct of communism. It is where it comes from every goddamn time. The reason why we have woke games and woke media right now is because of the Soviet Union. They did this years ago.
To be fair, former KGB agents have literally said,
admitted it.
This is something they stoked in the universities years ago.
Yuri Bezmenov.
Yep,
and they were hoping that they would be able to write it out while it was going through the culture.
The reason why they told us this information now is because after the Cold War ended, they're like, okay, here's some cringe that's going to happen. We're sorry, but we did that. And that's going to be something you're going to have to deal with. Sorry. Yep. But yes, Communist China to this day is actually one of the proponents of wokeism. They support wokeism.
in other countries.
Yes, not in their own.
Specifically in other countries.
Because they know it's a weapon to destroy our culture and destroy our media. And video games are a part of culture. I know we mostly focus on video games, but this is centric to it because part of the reason why video games are suffering is that reason. That's why things like Warhorse Studios suffers a little bit too. Warhorse Studios that made Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a game I actually really like and I enjoy and I recommend, there is elements of wokeism in it. And we do need to talk about it because yes, it's ugly, but we need to talk about it. We need to be critical, we need to be loud, and we need to be vocal. Because while I love this game, that is gonna be the fighting ground. They see that and they're gonna tear it down.
So the first region of the first region we're in, like Trotskovitz and everywhere else, in the game, I've counted no less than 6 different LGBT people.
Which is absurd. Especially considering in that particular point in history, there were less people than there are now. So statistically, there were even fewer of them.
Or the fact if you were caught being gay,
you'd be killed. I think you'd be lynched.
If you were a peasant, yes. In the nobility, you could
get away with it.
So long as you were discreet about it.
You were discreet and you produced an heir and kept quiet.
And then no one would, even if everyone quote unquote knew, it wouldn't be brought up.
You'd still be whispered, like everyone knows that you're like, you're gay, but at least you continued the bloodline. You did your duty to your house. You did the bare minimum. You'll be looked at as a blemish, but you made sure the bloodline didn't die out. But yeah, so this is the reason why when we talk about Chinese games, why they're bad, I mean, we played a few, we've streamed a few, but the reason why I always criticize China, and I always do it, is because the reason why we have woke games, and the reason why they fucking, why there's those memes where people like, the West versus the East game. That's what China wants you to post. They want you to do that, because yeah, they want to be superior. They can't play fair. So what are they going to do? They're going to make your Bethesda game woke. You know what they're going to do? They're going to make your Kingdom Come Deliverance game have woke stuff in it. And Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was too successful. They're not happy about that. This is promoting Western culture and Western ideals. Unacceptable. They're going to try to turn it up in the next game. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. That's why you got to be loud about it.
Like, it's not that it's 100% China. It's that China is not good.
China is evil.
This is what China wants to try to push this.
China cannot be allowed to get away with this. China will deceive people into thinking that China is not the villain here and that they're the good guys and the savior. And they've successfully done it to many people. Many people have already been brainwashed by China. Many people will now go and die on hills to defend them. Many people will lash out at me right now for talking about China. They will stand up for communism. They will stand up because they've done it. They've successfully subverted you and you are a victim of propaganda. None of us are immune. You thought you were special, but you weren't. China
if you have enough autism, you can be immune.
China is evil. China is the enemy of mankind. They're the enemy of progress. Period. They're the enemy of the West. They're the enemy of
They've
Taiwan.
Been bitter about it for over 100.
Taiwan number one.
Damn right.
China has been bitter about the fact they're not considered a proper superpower for over 100 years.
Yes, China is the real threat. People often point to Russia. Russia's a paper tiger. The real threat isn't China's military, it's their cultural war against our people. It's their war against our culture, our way of life. That cannot be tolerated. We need to actually fight back. Like, we can't let them get away with this. And so every time I see China, I'm going to call them evil. Because they're evil. They're the enemy of man. They're the enemy of the West. They must be treated as such.
Blake says, China plays to win. The reason they invest in both ESG and their own games is because that way they are guaranteed returns.
Yes, Blake, and that is why he's bringing up that China is bad. Don't get me wrong, yeah, there's lazy people in the West making video games that are just lazy.
There are bad people everywhere, but I'm not talking about developers. All developers in China are owned by the Chinese government. They are tools, puppets, nothing more. They will be thrown away. China does not like video games, period.
They don't. They think that they're a waste of productive time.
Yep, hence
Like,
why
that's the government's stance.
if it wasn't for the West using video games as a cultural weapon to unironically culturally wage war against China, and our culture is superior. We are better than them. It's not a matter of if and when. We're superior. We're better. We always have been. Don't let them trick you into thinking that you should be guilty about what you are, who you are. You are better than China. I don't know why this has become an anti-China stream, but my hatred for communism...
Fuck China.
my hatred for...
China is asshole.
Don't trust China, China asshole. Unironically, yes. Don't trust China, China asshole. Wise words were never spoken.
Oh.
we are a superior culture, chat. All of you in chat are part of a superior culture. We are part of the Western sphere, and we are superior. We do not need to bend over for them. We don't need to bow to them or kowtow to them. We can simply look down upon them. We're better than them, and we always will be. No matter how much they throw money into companies to try to make woke stuff so that we produce woke games, we're still better than you. Because at the end of the day, we're still going to win. So that's the end of it. And the big thing is to never forget that. Don't give in. Continue the good fight. Chatfishies need to win. Chatfishies need to destroy communism. It's true.
Actually, did the Vengeance Story Fund ever get finished?
It was.
Yeah, it's on the list. We'll be playing it. As soon as the thumbie's
It was
done.
finished a long time ago.
I don't remember the thumbnail for that. It's not on the list here.
And it was missed.
It's not propaganda, Indio. If you know what's good for you, you'll understand that we're protecting you. It's honestly
Alright.
thanks to America that the South Americans have as much freedom that they do. To a degree.
The Monroe Doctrine.
The Monroe
I'm
Doctrine
America,
protected
and
you.
I'm here to help.
We unironically shielded you. You're welcome. From the Europeans, the
We shielded you
Chinese,
from those dirty, filthy Europeans.
and the
I don't know where
Chinese as
that
well.
came
All those banana companies that came in to help you.
Banana Republic, we're helping. It's commerce. It's good for your economy. Eat bananas. I was like bananas. Now make me some banana bread, Slundio.
Remember, Indio, Brazil and Venezuela are butting heads right now on a specific plot of land. You may need help in the future.
Yes. They'll
And
need...
America's all
That's true.
about
They
helping
are
us,
butting
right?
over a piece of land. You'll be calling Papa America to help again. That's true. Just because it's propaganda does not mean it's not necessarily true. That's why World War II propaganda movies from America are some of my favorite movies of all time. Like Sahara and stuff like that. I love that movie. Yes, it's propaganda with Humphrey Bogart. But you know what? We're awesome. We deserve propaganda. We are better than them. We are
I enjoy the Chinese anti-America propaganda that just shows American troops being badass.
Yep.
Or the ones where it's like,
That's because Chinese
Incredible
propaganda is all
company.
about. There's two things about Chinese
Sacrifice.
propaganda. It's a sacrifice of
it's about
yourself.
sacrifice.
You are not better than the state. You are never going to rise above your station. You are just a tool, a cog in a machine. And so promoting
willing
heroism
to-
is not good.
Well, no, it is heroism, but it's
But
a
group, collective.
specific
You,
kind.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's in this regard, it's kind of similar to some of the like Russian ideas of heroism, where what you were doing is for your state, your people, like all those like higher-minded ideologies.
There's a perfect movie called Hero that you can go watch. In the end, the fucking main character, instead of killing the corrupt emperor, he asked him to unite the three lands or whatever the fuck, and then he
Oh, yeah,
walks
that
through
movie
the
was
gate,
so dumb.
and then he turns around and gets fucking pummeled by like 1,000 arrows. He lets himself die.
That movie was so bad.
Like, the only reason why we're touching on Rule 6 issues is because China unironically destroyed these Japanese creators. That's awful. We need more Japanese game developers. We need more developers, period, from various nations. Bohemia.
Do you want to bring up Nintendo?
Oh, with the.
Oh, I did hear
Oh,
apparently
Nintendo.
Nintendo did try to apply for their patent in
Nope.
the US, and it was almost universally
Shot down.
like shot down.
Okay, I didn't hear
think
the
there was,
news
like,
of that.
only-
I know they were applying. I didn't hear about that part.
I don't remember where. Or,
I'll go
I
grab
should
it.
I should have saved the link, but there was like one person who voted that this looks fine.
This
Yeah,
good.
Nintendo's actively
But because
going
of that,
after Power World now.
but because of that, at least in the
That's
US,
bad.
they
Yeah.
can't apply. they
Yeah,
can't
I got it right here. I'll give it to you.
we might have to do a Power World sympathy stream just to show that we
Sympathy
support.
There you go.
Yeah, because I do appreciate Power World. All right, we'll pull it up. I always cover my
It's only
screen.
because they're fighting Nintendo.
No, no, it has nothing to do with that. More developers. Power World's trying to do something unique in the survival crafting genre. I think it's better than Ark. I think they're actually pushing something interesting. I think that the first game is not going to be as good as the second one they make. I think, but
Did they
that's
say
the
which
same.
game
That's
they're
the same with Kingdom Come Deliverance. Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 is janky and kind of rough. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is more refined. I think they're gonna make a second game because any studio doesn't just make one game and disappear. They normally want to make more, or those people will leave and go want to make new ideas built on those ideas they had established. People don't just sit idly by. Humans are incredibly productive little creatures for the most part. Sometimes we can be a little lazy and fat and eat our little nachos, but we generally do stuff.
I want ice cream.
Fat little son of a bitch. She's like, ooh.
Work for your ice cream.
Reports about Nintendo having 22 out of their 23 its anti-Power World patents rejected in the U.S. were largely misleading. What?
Wow.
Recent headlines have sensationalized Nintendo's patents filing in the U.S., leading people to believe that Nintendo filed 23 anti-Power World patents and had 22 patents. Oh, you said that already. Recent headlines have sensationalized. You keep saying that. Quit saying that. Quit saying sensationalized. I'm gonna kill myself. I have to read that one more time. Patent and 22 of them rejected. Blah, 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 blah. Controversy. Okay, if he just keeps repeating himself in this fucking thing, I'm gonna scream.
I like how it says it's misleading, and then it says, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office initially rejected 22 of these. So it's misleading, but also they did reject 22.
So they actually did. Okay.
So I'll just break down the article easily. It rejected 22 of them for being too broad and lacked novelty and inventiveness.
Yep.
Meaning they tried to do the same shit they did in Japan and got rejected, with only one of the ones surviving. But that doesn't mean approved. It means that they're not outright rejected. They're in the process though.
They can actually file for it. In which case, it might get rejected if it's on similar grounds.
So it says Nintendo had submitted 23 separate patents and lost 22 of them outright.
Basically, dismissal with prejudice or something like that.
Yeah.
I like how the title of the article is a complete lie.
It is.
No shit.
But that's just it. But it elucidates that yes, even the people that are siding with Nintendo still have to admit that they lost 22 of the patents immediately.
The only reason Japan granted them is Nintendo is one of the reasons people have a favorable view of Japan.
Yep. Also, one of the things we need to talk about is, we need to talk about Western superiority again. Okay, Japan's legal system is horrific. Their copyright system is the most draconian thing I've ever seen in my entire life. As a former anti-piracy copyright agent, you want to talk about like anti-piracy measures going too far? Fucking Japan. Jesus fucking Christ. Some of the things they do to people for pirating and stuff, or stuff over there, is draconian. Like, it's just fucking backwards. And you can patent and copyright so much shit over there that you should never be able to do, period. Part of the reasons why certain RPGs didn't have, I forget what mechanic, is thanks to Japan.
It was a mini game during the loading screen.
Also a time-based combat system. You can thank Japan for introducing the idea of copywriting fucking gameplay mechanics. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, the action gauge, like in Final Fantasy and stuff like that.
The really cool novel system called the Nemesis system, being patented. Thanks, Japan. Thanks, Japan.
Japanese legal system is based on German legal system.
It always goes back to Germany.
It's always the Germans.
Oh my god. See,
German
Germans
autism.
Germans
hold
aren't
on,
really
hold
Western
on.
when you think about it.
Hold on. It may be the legal system might be based off of the German legal system, but the Japanese courts are not based off of any Western court.
Yeah, that's based off their own
Weird, funky bullshit.
yeah, their own built up like legal procedures and precedent and all that stuff.
Ace Attorney is shockingly accurate, guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Dash
no,
is at
unironically-
99% conviction rate. Yeah, I remember
So-
hearing stuff like that.
So to be fair with that, don't get me wrong, it's still fucked up. But one of the reasons they have such a high prosecution rate is they will wait until they have an absolute like ironclad case against someone and then take them to court. If they think there's a like small minute chance that they might be able to slip out, they don't prosecute.
Yep. Yeah, so that's just one thing. Draconian copyright laws. Because copyright and IP protection is important. However, I do believe, in my opinion, even as an anti-piracy agent, that certain things have gone way too far. And in this particular case, this is one of those such cases where it's gone too far. Far too far. So much so that it's
Hasn't gone
hurting
far enough.
creativity. It's hurting creativity. When you copyright gameplay mechanics, that's preventing the evolution of games. You are actually cock-blocking a natural progression, an advancement of mechanics. That's just bad. That's bad. Bad.
Yes, it is. But from their perspective, they came up with it. Therefore,
See, what
So
it should be the execution that is IP protected. Like, this is your story because it has these characters do these things and these characters are protected. Yes. But like, you have a start menu. Like, fucking Christ's sake. You're gonna tell me you're gonna copyright that?
Oh, so that's why the one Battlefield didn't have a start menu.
So here's the big thing, right? Because Pikachu is the ambassador to Japan, or the ambassador of Japan, there's no way in hell Nintendo is not going to get preferential treatment in the courts.
Political power.
Nintendo's the
However-
cultural juggernaut of Japan.
So it doesn't matter if like the courts or legal system is somehow based on Western ones. The courts are not going to side against Nintendo, because who the fuck wants to deal with the Japanese government coming down and saying, "Why are you making us look bad?"
like, they would have to do something so horrible, so out of the realm of moral consciousness that would be the only time Japan would actually do something.
Yep.
Ella told me if you mod your games in Japan, says Chow Chow, you go to jail. Certain games, yes, you will go to jail.
Yep.
They will break into your home and take your
Take
computers
all
and
your
stuff
hard drives.
because you modded your game. Yes.
You know the meme of the FBI coming in because you downloaded the file? Unironically, that.
Download a car.
It's honestly, it makes Disney look like a fucking nice company, and Disney is rancid. Disney is
Well, Blake, the problem with Mickey's Infinite Copyright expansions is that the United States isn't playing that shit anymore. Disney's fallen out of favor of the government.
Yep, they've
Yep,
lost
which
their
is why
power
they're
finally.
no longer allowing for their extensions anymore.
So the copyrights
Steamboat
are gonna
Willie
collapse.
fell into Steamboat Willie fell into the public domain already.
Yeah, now
That's
we're
the
getting
first
shitty
one, yeah.
horror indie games of that stuff.
That's okay. You know why? Because at least the market is free again.
Yes, I'm not saying that. Oh, they shouldn't do that. I'm just saying, the second those came for a billion, like horror, this, but horror just popped up everywhere.
Winnie the Pooh, but horror.
But horror.
Which is a shitty horror
Blood
movie.
and honey.
It's like, for example, after Kibos becomes a little ghost, like, I want to see my IP being played with by other people. I don't care. I'm dead.
Okay.
They'll butcher it. They'll butcher it and they'll claim
I'm
ownership.
gonna.
Bucky
I'm
knows
gonna
assassinating
make
me.
a-
can't,
Yeah.
No
I
assassinate
can't
me.
wait.
No
I
assassinate me.
can't wait for Beano's canon to become the canon.
Oh my
Yep.
god, I will destroy you. Bino's canon has like he didn't
After-
even read anything. He just made stuff up and based on
He
like
did.
assumptions because he's like sent me
After
his version of my
after
story.
Kibbs
It's
dies,
bad.
after Kibbs dies, I'm gonna go to Neil Druckmann and tell him to make a game based off of the setting.
Oh,
Kibbs did
I
say
should
he
be
wants to
outliving
see that.
him. Actually, Bucky.
He's-
Bucky's like, not with your new
You
diet.
advocated for a specific way to put stuff into the public domain after somebody dies.
Because if in a normal world the people didn't murder
This
each
is
other.
the normal world.
Yeah, sadly.
See, Kibbs, the issue is you're dumb and an idealist.
Yeah, I am an idealist, which is why I even admitted that that's actually not something that would work, because I know it wouldn't. I just, ideally, if things could work that way upon death of a writer, 15, 10 years, then it goes to the public domain. Actually, that used to be how that used to work. And I was
It
like,
was how that used to
Yeah,
work.
then Disney came along and it's like, actually.
and I still believe that we should go back to that. Kib equals Liu Bei, an idealist who loses. No.
It's okay. History will make you out to be amazing, and everyone loved you.
Or I'll be
Hold on,
depicted
hold
as
on.
incredibly gay
According
with
to
another
his alt
character.
history, Dynasty Warriors, Liu Bei might actually become the unifier of China.
Yeah.
That's true. We do got to get to the next part of that.
We still gotta make you do it in a New Game Plus mode where you actually go save. Oh boy.
Leon, the
Oh,
best
Xinjiang,
one,
yeah.
the best character.
But yes, also, my anti-China rhetoric has nothing to do with the people or culture of China. It has everything to do with specifically the government. The government, the people are as much a victim.
Hold on, I fucking hate gutter oil.
Okay, maybe some
That's
basic
true.
food
the
laws.
general culture is actually terrible.
Basic-
Yeah, you're right.
Basic food laws, you know, like an FDA system or something similar equivalent.
Eating frogs while they're alive.
That's also just that's just fucking.
Also, their
Okay, maybe hashtag
construction
not all.
quality.
Maybe hashtag not all is a fair.
the construction quality of China is not great.
Yes.
Kids walk barefoot in
it's-
glass.
it's-
That's true. I
it's
do.
Kind of a terrible.
I
Culture.
do, and that's because I'm literally Jesus. But instead
Or
of walking
kids, do
on
I have to
water,
remind
I
you
walk on
about,
shattered glass. It hurts. Don't do it.
The corn cob fucking bridges covered in cement.
There was that, but I was also going to say, Kibbs, do you remember the culture around people getting hit by vehicles? Do you remember that culture in China?
Oh, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But
Oh, the one where if somebody's having a heart attack next to you, you just ignore them, or else you're admitting guilt somehow.
You're culpable for not doing
listen,
something.
this is all because of the Chinese government not educating them. How can you blame an infant for accidentally doing something when he did
What about
not
the
know
treatment
when
of
he better?
dogs? and
Okay,
cats?
maybe. Okay, come on. The dog. That's a weak angle to play on me because I'm an animal lover.
It's a strong angle to play on you. What are you talking about?
It's a weak.
What do you mean weak? It
It's
works.
cheap. I
It's
think-
accurate.
Listen, culture, right? Culture is everything. If our culture, when our culture eventually dominates and destroys their weak, inferior culture, they will be corrected to becoming China America, the way they should have been, the way history should have gone if the Chinese Civil War went differently.
Sino America.
If the
Yeah.
U.S. actually honored their agreements and helped them.
Yeah, if we actually did, they'd be Sino America, the way they should have been. The Republic of China, the ROC, which still exists, by the way, the rightful governors of China, the ROC. Yep, if I'm not banned on China now, I definitely am now.
You mean West Taiwan, not China.
No, they're the ROC. Calling them Taiwan is actually incorrect. They are the Republic of China. Let's call them by their real name.
Yeah, it's just
Because
the
the
rest of the
reason
world
why
is a great
people
big
refer to them
hole.
to call it Taiwan is that's the politically correct name, the region. The ROC, the Republic of China, is the real government of China. Oh, now we're getting into geo-autisms. No, it's a
yes,
trick.
kidding,
It's a
you allowed
trip.
it.
It's a
You fucking fell
trip.
for it.
It's because I'm very well versed in this stuff.
No, it's because you're very susceptible.
Yes, very educated. I agree. And Chad agrees
Kibbs is
too.
a believer of the 9-dash line.
Mm.
Chad's like, "Oh."
Let's call them by their real name. Racial slur.
Like, no.
Comstock did nothing wrong, chat.
Darn.
I mean, considering what
lose.
happened in the
I was
end,
gonna
yeah.
say, no, there's one thing he did wrong. He lost.
I mean, considering like honestly, all Bioshock ever taught me is that he was kind of a good guy.
Based.
It also taught me the writers don't fucking understand the arguments they were using for quantum mechanics.
I'm just saying, bombing the Boxer Rebellion from fucking the sky is just hilarious. It's just hilarious.
He sees them doing their bullshit like workout routine. He's like, "Officer, bomb that camp."
They always get problems with Beijing. Well, like, bring on the problems. They're already at war with us anyways, culturally. Look at what they're doing to our video games. They're unironically attacking our video games and culture and media. The reason why we have avowed. Fuck, I can't even remember the name. I'm stuttering.
Avowed.
Avowed. I mean, it might be awoken because it's so woke. It's not actually that woke. It's just bad. It's a little woke with cringe and shit in it. But A part of the problem is because China is literally intentionally sabotaging our entertainment industry. And is doing so to help basically use what the Soviets had created to begin with to basically continue that disorganization. Because again, they're trying to surpass us as the hegemon. This matters because this affects video games. Unironically, it's connected. Because if we didn't have this problem, maybe Skyrim wouldn't, maybe Starfield would never have been made, you know? Just saying. Could have got the Starfield of the good timeline, chat, where it actually was good and had something to it, and a story. We could have had that, chat, but we don't. You know what we have? We got...
China also publishes Path of Exile 2.
Yeah, that's a problem. The developers aren't trying to, but they're using New Zealand as a basis because the developers are talented. And as soon as they become obsolete, they will throw them away. That's my unfortunate fear. Or they'll try to take Path of Exile 2, because they're going to be subversive, as they always are. Because Path of Exile 2 currently is being developed by a New Zealand development team, a very talented, very passionate team. And without a doubt, they're going to try to rip that away from them at some point. They're either going to take increasing amount of shares and steal Path of Exile that way. They're going to either make them destroy themselves or something as soon as they're not useful anymore. But the thing is, New Zealand is kind of viewed as a puppet state. So they might not do either of those things. They might continue to prop it up because they see New Zealand as something they can control to begin with.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. The reason why Path of Exile 2 is because they aren't funding anything to sabotage it. They're doing the exact opposite.
Scott believes in the one spread cheek line, says Florio.
No, I'm not calming down. I'm angry. I'm angry because a lot of my favorite games are shit. And they shouldn't be. Avowed should have been a good game, somehow. I don't know how, but it should have been.
All games should be good.
Like, no one said that America's culture isn't shitting itself. We already know that's happened. We just know where the source is from.
It's just like when you look at exacerbating factors, what's one of the biggest factors of that?
The Soviet Union caused a lot of this to occur, and now we're suffering for it. We know America's culture is imploding upon itself. You don't need to keep saying.
Well, it's not imploding upon itself. Like, we are there is a counter that's happening.
There's still decent stuff being produced.
So culturally, we have to talk about the pendulum swing. The pendulum swing is something I actually talked to about a lot of other people, and they also picked up the pendulum swing, but they didn't quite fully understand it. The idea is that when something pushed far one direction, it'll naturally swing back, and it already is. But you got to be careful on the swing back part, because the swing back part, it might swing too far. The harder you push the pendulum, the more it swings. You got to be careful, because it's a slippery slope. And then when it swings too far right, you get some really weird shit that happens there too. Or when it swings left. Right now, it's swinging back, which is good. It's good for all of us. All chatfishies can profit from this. Oh my god, my foot itches.
Good. Scratch it. Open up that wound.
Again.
Ouch. It's because I got tiny little cuts on it.
Yeah. You know what you do with that, Kibbs? You know how you stop it from itching?
But yeah, so
Boil it.
hold on. So back to culture. So the reason why comics and gaming culture in America, the reason why it sucks is entirely due to the East, and it's entirely due to the Soviet Union. Because these thoughts, these ideas, these like globalist or Marxist ideals, whatever you want to call them, were never propagated until specifically planted and seeded into younger generations. As the generations grew, they were infected by this. It's not necessarily their fault. They're victims. They don't know any better. You know, nurture. If you nurture a child and you tell them nothing but lies and feed them nothing but, you know, poison, you're gonna poison their mind.
If you ask like the average like North Korean peasant, what is the West like? What do you think they're going to say? Because that's the environment that they grew up in. That's what they were told their entire lives.
The only reason we're talking about this plague is because this directly affects video game media. And this is the issue, right? That's the danger. Now we're also seeing, and Grumpy says, which is why you're seeing some people on the right starting to push for censorship of games. Yep, reverse censorship is going to happen. That's because this affects video games massively, but this is called Puritanism. Puritans are basically people who want power and be able to dictate and control things, and the way to do so is to control what you can and cannot consume that they approve or not approve of. They are either left or right. They're neither left or right. Sorry, they're everywhere. Puritans exist among us, and they're sheep's and wolves in sheep's clothing. Basically, they hide on either side, and part of the reason why the left people have the problems they have is because the Puritans drove them there. The reality is the center and the left and the right are actually more united than they should ever be apart. It's just Puritans will push they're the pushers of the pendulum. They're always pushing hard on it, trying to get it to swing further their way. And that's why the whole rolling wheel thing exists. This is part of Kibian philosophy.
Chad, I'm not worried about fucking random idiots trying to censor games. It's just going to end up where they're looking at it and go, oh, there's a lot of communist bullshit in this game. There's a lot of this non-Western beliefs in it. And they'll go, get that shit out of our games. But once it's gone, like all of the support to get rid of those games or those industries or those the studios is going to go out the window. Nobody's going to want to get rid of them after they've rectified that. So all of that support evaporates. They'll have nothing to complain about, and there's nothing to do.
Yep, there's a way to
and
actually
if they try
salvage.
to, then look at any other group that lasted longer than it should have.
Yeah,
it's like you're just a shell of your former self, just wanting money.
Yep. I mean, the thing is, there's a real quick way to fix EA. There's a quick way. There's a real quick way to fix up Bethesda or Microsoft and its problems, because these companies do good thing. They do good work occasionally, like Microsoft with its quantum computing advancement stuff. Like, that's good stuff for all of us. But they also do bad things as well. The easiest way is to cut the support. That's why we go for the heart of the problem. The heart of the problem is, where's the money coming from? And it's coming from foreign investments. It's like the same thing that Europe faces with its ecological bullshit is coming from Russia, because they want the European countries to be dependent on them economically. And I know all this stuff because I played enough video games that you kind of figure out how a player plays these tabletop games, the global game, right? Because everything's a game when you really think about it. Like, how do you win? Well, you make them dependent on you. How do you get them more dependent on you? Well, you take away their sources of energy so that they have to buy yours. Now you're making more money and they're dependent on you, and you have more power. Bada bing, bada bam. It's all a video game when you think about it. Especially when you play some geopolitical simulators like Kib has. Just like, what? Most geopolitical sims suck, by the way. But yeah, that's it for the R6 stuff. Because but this helps extrapolate the reason as to why we have problems in games. And these particular problems. There are more extenuating problems than just this, right? Avowed isn't just a political problem. It has other problems that are mostly tied to gameplay and less actually politics than you'd expect. The reason why Avowed sucks, and why it's not even important, is because its gameplay is dated from like 2010 and even older. And it's just archaic. It's boring. It has nothing of value. Next is the political stuff, right? Because that actually affects the story. But where the political stuff does matter more than anywhere else is a game like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, why does it matter to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? Well, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a good game. It's actually a great game. It's really fun. It's fun to play. It's probably one of the best RPGs released for Sandbox. It's basically the modern day equivalent of a Morrowind game. However, it has elements of wokeism in it. Not like enough to make it unplayable by any stretch of imagination. It's still definitely good, but it has enough to warrant a good amount of concern. You should be concerned. You should be looking into Warhorse. You should be calling them out. You should be vocal. You should be involved in these conversations. Not disinterested in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but more interested in it. Because this is a good game that has a poison in it. And this poison will kill Warhorse Studios' potential to become what they need to become. Warhorse Studios needs to become the next Bethesda, but for Europe. They have the potential to do it. They have the skill. They have the know-how. But they need to not be poisoned by the competition. The competition is China. China is poisoning them. We can't allow that to happen. It's easy to close your eyes and forget about that, but there are a lot of good people that are being affected by that. And that poison is going to ruin not only those good people, but also ruin the good game that we all deserve. We deserve good games. That's not a question of if, chat, or do we. You deserve a good game. You deserve to have Halo be great. Halo should be awesome for you guys. You deserve that Star Wars should be great. You should have great Star Wars movies, great books. But we don't. Why don't we? Because they've been stolen from us. That's the issue. That's the problem, chat bros. And that's why this stuff matters. But yeah, delving into side tangents aside, that's pretty much everything relevant and connected to that issue. And when Boog brought up that Twitter thing, that is pretty important. I don't know where that went. Yeah, here. And this is where this tangent begins. This is what makes me so mad. Because I don't really care for Yakuza as a game. It's not my kind of game. But I respect the developers who made Yakuza. I respect the fandom that Yakuza has. And I believe that you guys deserve a good game. Period. You deserve to have Yakuza games. You deserve to have things like that. And when I see things that were good being ripped away from you, it makes me angry. Because I'm all too familiar with having those things that I like ripped away from me, like Halo, or like Gears of War being ripped away from me, or Star Wars. Things I liked were ripped away from me too. I understand. And we're all brothers in this, brothers in arms. Because this particular subject hurts. They stole that from you. That's just bad. And I think we should be loud and we should be vocal. Because, well, yes, Blake brought up something earlier, and that's valid too. The people who took the money are traitors. This is true. If you took the money, that kind of makes you a traitor. You know, the people who took the money to put in the EGS stuff or DEI stuff, you're a traitor. You betrayed your principles, you betrayed your team, you betrayed what makes making a good game developer. You betrayed the art of game making when you did that. That's shameful. That's not good. And we don't apologize for those actions. No one does. You should call it out when you see it. I mean, they should not only, the Kingdom Come guy, like, for example, who basically is like coping and seething about the whole thing, like, what he should be doing is apologizing. First and foremost. You should be saying sorry. But then again, I look at his record and he's just a shit stirrer. That's all he does. So he can't really take anything he says with a grain of salt because he always did that shit to begin with. He was always kind of a scumbag. So, what can you do? The question is that just a front? You know that he cares deep down inside, but you hope that he cares more about the game than money. And that's the real question. Do they care more about the game than money, the art? Do they have pride in what they do? Are they proud of the games they produce? Does that mean anything to them? And that's something I always wonder too. Because I think that game making is an art. And we should be proud of the work we do. We shouldn't be ashamed or disgusted of it. Like, when you see stuff like that, it honestly drags us all down. Because now everybody on their goddamn, like, sun thinks that, they're just a bunch of sellouts. Or, what's more I hate seeing, I dislike seeing, is like, when it's like Western game versus Eastern game. And it's like, I hate seeing that. And you should too. Because what that means is like, yeah, but we should see it. Because, yeah, we should be embarrassed. We should be embarrassed that these games are being made, that Avowed exists. That's embarrassing. That's pathetic. We're better than this. We should be doing better than that. Oh, it just makes me mad. Makes me mad. Velvet is a sellout? Yeah.
Good. Let the anger flow through you.
All right, Bucky. We need a new depiction of your avatar. A little hood. Little wrinkles.
What color's the hood, kids?
It glows. It's RGB. It's RGB. It's RGB brimmed. or trimming. Sorry, I thought about.
I hope
been
we
thought about
actually
clothing.
get the Marcus collection announced soon.
The Marcus Phoenix collection. I fucking hope so. There's been enough leaks
Because there was
about
that,
it to
that
confirm it. Yeah.
leak that was, which makes it more credible that it was only leaked to a couple Spanish streamers. Because it's really big in Mexico.
Yes,
Gears series.
the Gears franchise is big in Latin America, and awesome. That means they have good taste down there.
They specifically love Gears 4 and 5.
No, they're better than
I
that.
don't think they did.
No,
I'm
they're
pretty sure the pandering that those games did not go over well.
Yeah, as far as I know, because I have a few friends who are in the competitive scene of Gears, but they're all from
The
Mexico.
competitive multiplayer for that shit was dog shit.
Yes,
Because I know people there, and then I also played competitive a little.
because fighting games in South America are super big, and especially Central America. But Gears is massive down there. Gears is a great series and needs to be rectified. We need to get the Gears we deserve. I think what people need to do, Chad, is you need to say you deserve something. Because you do. You work hard. You pay for a game. You put passion and care into that video game. You read the books. You read the comics. You care. You deserve that. Like, I'm jealous of that shit. Like, for, like, building settings and writing lore and stuff. I wish I had that amount of dedication that these fandoms had for myself, for my stuff. And when I see them so casually throw that shit away, that just fucking makes my blood boil. Like, how that's like the thing I chase after in my dreams that I want to have for me, my personal thing, for my greedy thing, and they just throw it so carelessly away like it's nothing, or spit on it.
They're entitled to that money and
Like,
the
fucking
support.
Christ. It's the most infuriating thing to look at as like a developer. It's like you look at somebody, you see them have everything that you wish you had. Like, oh, they get like a movie adaptation, they get comic books, they get books. Oh my fucking god, that's amazing. They get like fucking statues of their characters. That's so cool. And then they just like piss on it. They piss it all away. And it's the most fucking aggravating thing ever. It's a fucking...
L'Oreal has an idea of what he thinks chat deserves.
What does he think?
Chat deserves
Chat.
cheeks.
All right, bam. He's like, "Eep."
Okay. Ban him, Reguline. You heard him.
Destroy him. Destroy him now.
He spoke the truth.
And so
I
they
wanna
hated
go
him.
kill him.
True.
He spoke the
cheeks.
truth.
Fuzzy, it's funny that you mentioned that. Because there's also the idea that part of the reason gaming, at least in the West, has gone down is that a lot of companies were no longer private.
Yep. And that's
Instead,
that's
they could be
allowed foreign interests to get involved. Interests that don't have the game's success at mind, right? This is why
There's that.
people
There's also people investing from other sectors that are more like standard products where it's like you get the same thing over and over and over again, and so they're also expecting returns on investment.
Yep. To them, it's like the food industry, right? So the food industry does this too, where it's like, all right, we're gonna have a new special cheeseburger. It's gonna have some jalapenos on it, and we'll call it the char burger. Blake's eyes perked up, like, whoa. And then we'll maybe do another special where we make like a sort of honey barbecue one, and we'll do it for like a month, and then we'll switch it out and just excite the product again, right? Well, they think video games are basically the same thing, where it's like, all right, we need another Call of Duty game. This one's going to have some jalapenos on it. Like, basically, you know, it's like, this is a Black Ops game.
Ironically, that's the
So-
case
and that's what they
for
think.
like some of them.
And that's what they think. And like, and this one's going to be one that's going to be slightly different. A sort of, unique flavor of the month. A really weird one that, that no one asked for. Vanguard. There you go. There you go. And that's what they do, because that's what they think about it. It's just product. A video game isn't a video game anymore. That's bad and that's dangerous. Nicki Minaj, yeah. Like, you notice crossovers when you go to McDonald's, right? Where they have crossovers too, or Burger King, where there'll be like little toys for kids or whatever, but they'll sometimes do themed burgers or whatever. It's literally the same thing, but it's done in a corporate and soulless way. Or, goddamn, the Grimace milkshake that Hans and I had. It was purple drink.
Night, Frederick.
Night, Freddy Fish.
Fuzzy is saying Activision brought in a soap executive into Blizzard. I recall that. Was it also Hasbro? executive.
It's like, well, he has experience in being an executive and managing things. It's like, yeah, but he also doesn't understand the product you're trying to ship. Like, that's an important thing. Executives in positions of power need to understand what the ground floor is doing. The more informed and educated they are on what the ground teams are producing and who the target audience is and what it is they're making, the more informed decisions they can make. This is like no-brainer shit. Like, it's not even funny. Like, the military does this shit right. Why can't companies do this shit right? It's like, it'd be like the same equivalent of being like, all right, we're going to bring in an Air Force general, and he's going to be in charge of the entire fucking, like, ground invasion for Iraq. And the Air Force general's like, fucking... Is he going to know how to organize the armored companies and stuff like that? No. No. He might have an idea on organization and stuff like that, but he doesn't understand the difference between, like, how these things need to organizedly function. Like, you know, the difference is massive. One's a fucking jet, one's a fucking tank, one's a fucking helicopter, one's a goddamn APC. That's the problem, chat bros. Information, knowledge is everything. Information is ammunition, chatfish. Oh, I just quoted something. Another fucking angry, cranky little chatfish. So grumpy. Ramirez, watch my back! Fucking gross. But considering the current day, I couldn't see it. But yes, I am all for, and I think we all should be all for, this is not even really debatable, better games for everyone, good games for everyone, and that's about it. For everyone that's interested in them, specifically. When I say everyone, I don't mean, you know, your grandma. I don't mean, you know, whatever. If it's a Gears of War game, it should be better for everyone who likes Gears of War.
Your mom's gonna hate this.
I disagree. I think games should only be allowed to play fireworks.
You know, the Dead Space 2 commercial promo material, the mom's gonna hate this thing, is why my dad bought that, because my parents were divorced, and he thought it would be funny if I had Dead Space 2.
That's right. You just looked at that's right, Kyle. Fuck your mom.
They would take pot shots at each other, but in a friendly way, fortunately. Thank God. Because, oh my God, if it was, like, that's unironically the reason why I got Dead Space 2, was that marketing campaign. Because my dad thought it was funny. He appreciated it, and he wanted me to have played the game just because he thought it would be funny.
And then it scared the piss out of little Kibbs.
And then Kib is like, yeah, I'm scared of this game. God damn it, son.
I was. It was very... I couldn't get past the first chapter. I played the shit out of the multiplayer. I maxed out the level of the multiplayer mode because I really liked the multiplayer mode. It was actually
your favorite necromorph?
The problem children, as we called them.
The children were great.
Of course, you would identify with the problem children.
We call them problem child. It's like problem child. It's like it jumps on and like read.
Oh man. That was so much fun.
The multiplayer, I know it was a gimmick tacked on, but that's actually what softly introduced me to horror. Softly, because I was very much a coward.
My only real complaint with it was that you literally just got stronger the higher your level was, so...
Yes, the balance was broken. And so basically, and that also helped ensure that the multiplayer base died. They did make a map pack that had 2 maps, but then the game was kind of screwed because the multiplayer was a tacked on gimmick, and so the Visceral Steam had to basically, after they were done with the map stuff, they made a couple of cosmetic DLCs, and then they made the one expansion, and then they had to move on. And what they really should have done is actually made a Dead Space spin-off multiplayer shooter.
That would have been great.
And it should be specifically not tacked onto the main game, but a spin-off, so it can be its own game with its own thing.
Was the multiplayer ever in the Steam version?
Yes.
I don't think it was.
The Dead Space 2 multiplayer does exist in the Steam version. However, I think the Steam's servers were tied, or I don't think it was tied to the Steam servers.
The servers are gone now.
It's tied to the EA servers, sadly. But yes, it did have.
If there's any groups trying to get that working again.
There's not enough maps nor content to really justify a revitalization, I think, effort. I think there was like 6 or 7 maps in total in that game, by the way. Like there weren't a lot. It was a great game, and a great game mode, but it really needed I need EA, please. No more mobile games of my things I like. It's just a real game.
Next game, Gabe gets to play
Oh,
is mobile Halo.
was it last year that they released the Red Alert announcement for the as a mobile expansion to the Command and Conquer game? And I got so excited because I saw Red Alert characters, and then it's like, wait, this looks kind of weird. And then I saw mobile, and I'm like, I just fucking, oh my god. We can't keep doing this. Dead Space Mobile? God, no. Please, no. God, no, please, no. Okay,
How would that even work?
I don't know, the necromorphs push lanes? That's just...
No. But Kibbs, it couldn't just be that. So one side would have to be the necromorphs, and then the other side would have to be like, I guess, EarthGov.
That's stupid. I don't like this.
No shit. You're already entertaining the concept.
I shouldn't have done that. Unexpected, you're banned. That way I don't have to entertain you anymore. There's already an alien. There's an Alien sequel, Isolation mobile. I didn't like Alien Isolation, and I stand by that. I think it's a bad game. I think it's bad. I think it's garbage. Mostly because the xenomorph hovers, and the AI is terrible for it. It hovers. It hovers around you.
The issue is the not the xenomorph AI, but the director AI will always tell the xenomorph AI what region you're in. That's the problem.
Yep, what room. And so unlike that really good fucking horror game that I hate and I never want to play again, the Bunker, like where the monster, you can actually like miss it because it's in a completely different zone. And it's only upon making or doing certain things that will actually get it to move.
Which is funny because if you don't realize it, then you think around every corner is going to be the monster. But like, let's just say hypothetically, like you're in the armory and it's all the way down in the mess hall.
I keep looking at this picture, by the way, and it keeps making me sad because these are two developers who are now shafted. Now, they shouldn't have fucking taken the NetEase money. It's kind of on them.
Did it themselves in the end. Or more than likely, they were bought up by investor groups. Getting eaten by NetEase.
China's so goddamn evil. Like, anytime. Oh my god, this conversation. Just get mad.
Let's just keep going in circles.
Because I'm angry. Because every time I think about it, it's like I'm imagining what it must feel like. And I can... The strength of the emotion is just like a gut-wrenching pain. Like, it's awful. Like, these two people are probably feeling some really bad vibes right now. I'm telling you. That sucks. No one should have to experience that.
I bet you they had some type of bonus in line that they got, let go and not receive, like royalties or some cut off of the percentage of the overall revenue.
Yep, because the games they were working on not only got what I'm guaranteeing you actually happened, because this is so China right here. You know what they did? They let them work on these projects. They got enough work done from them. They cut the projects, fired the Japanese teams, and are now going to hand over the ground floor work, change it slightly so that they can't get called out. Not that you can sue them, by the way, because, okay, in terms of copyright law, China is fucking rancid. I hate China, even as a copyright agent. Like, what they would do is they would not only take our clients' work, but they would just resell it. They don't just pirate it and redistribute it. No, they're worse. They take it, resell it, claim it as their own. Because in Chinese law, you are not human if you are not Chinese. And it's specifically that. You're not human. You're not even a dog. You're not even livestock. You, quite frankly, are about as valuable... The way the Chinese government views you is as an insect. As you would view an insect. Like, you don't matter.
I thought you were going to go to your life is as valuable as a summer ant me.
It's that equivalent. And that's why they can get away with this stuff.
Oh, it's funny. But
like, if that were true, then why would I give Indio bonuses and Beano bonuses? Why would I pay them well?
He's on to something. I do believe that. I do believe that.
I do. We'll destroy. Just like American. Okay, Indio, Mister. Are you sure you want to do that, Mister?
Really, I think this is just. This is showing that the Brazilians. need to
After
be put in
all
their
I've
place.
done for you, you fucking ungrateful wretch. It's telling me really a lot about Brazilians.
It tells me he needs to do background.
Where's
for his
Bino to
footage.
tell him that?
More
to be here and be
environmental
like, I don't
arts?
associate with them.
When's I think next month. Well, by the end of next month, we're gonna prioritize Mass Effect Andromeda's thumbnail. It's time for Indio to be punished.
Andromeda.
There's-
We need him to work on
No,
the Monster Drift
no.
Wilds thumbnail and then move
Yes,
on to
He's,
the.
he's finishing
Lunar
that.
Age.
You'll finish that.
No.
Don't worry.
No. He's finishing that, and then he's finishing Black Myth.
God, you really have a
Then
lot of
Lunar
work,
Age.
Indio. Honestly,
Wow,
we're
Indio,
talking. Like,
Jesus.
no, there's gonna be a new loot art. You're gonna have to do with Jal. God, I wonder who he's gonna defile next. I wonder who he's gonna.
Which one is India's
Let's-
favorite?
let's
Notice how he
peruse
stopped
his,
typing because he's trying to get us to stop. For, like
we
fucking-
could
what
just
is it?
Also-
peruse his Twitter page and see what
Sal
his
is doing
waifus are.
Andromeda.
Sal.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, don't
Yeah.
worry. Sal can do the thumbnail, but I think a certain piece of art will be done by Indio.
Artwork, yeah.
A certain wallpaper, if you will. A new
Likes
update.
waddling away to get onions.
Well, if we're not here when we get back, that's because I'm going to get pizza. Because I've decided I'm going to have pizza. Pizza.
You gonna let chat pick the toppings again?
No, I actually don't want that.
What if chat pays to pick the toppings?
I'm not letting them.
What if chat makes the weekly goal to pick the toppings?
The weekly goal is barely far away. I'm losing either way. Any of these options is a massive L for me to take.
But it'd be funny.
It would be
What if
funny
they
for everyone else but
vastly-
me.
What if they vastly overfund the goal, kid? How about that?
If they vastly overfunded it, then sure. Because at that point, I could
Let's
just
say-
get 2 pizzas.
$1,000 over the weekly goal and make it the pizza of your choosing, of their choosing.
Yeah, sure. But they're never doing that. So we're fine.
Then we just go get a second mortgage. Hold
No,
on.
fucking no, you're not. I'm not letting you do that. You little racist! You're racist! Start screaming. I picked good toppings. Some of you chatfish did. Some of you guys chose pickles.
You're fuzzy.
Yes.
Fuzzy picked pickles.
Somebody added pickles and sauerkraut together. Sauerkraut can be good on
Fuzzy.
a
It-
few
you're saying
things.
someone. It was Fuzzy.
Fuzzy picked pickles. Who picked sauerkraut?
Also Fuzzy suggested that.
I think Fuzzy shall die. Fuzzy shall...
Yeah, it was fuzzy.
It was Bucky. Bucky picked sauerkraut.
That's when he's like, I choose to remember.
Actually,
it
no,
that
I don't
way."
think it was Bucky.
No, that's
Get
side.
fucked, Kibbs.
It was Bucky. Bucky's side.
I
Bucky's
didn't
guilty.
pick sauerkraut.
You picked pickles then.
Yes.
Stupid Chumba. Chumba dumb.
Then it was Fuzzy who did the sauerkraut.
See, sauerkraut
Yes.
can be good with like a nice a sausage or andouille sausage.
You want some sausage?
Like that would be
Alexander
good.
says, we didn't do shit. I suggested cheese crust.
That would be really good, okay? Because a sauerkraut pizza can actually be really tasty. But fucking pickles and sauerkraut has this weird thing that happens when they combine them together that you eat it and you kind of feel like you feel kind of okay about it, like, this isn't the worst. And then you swallow it and then you're like, I'm just kind of sad. Just kind of sad.
Kibbs is so sad when he swallows.
When it's specifically sauerkraut pizza with pickles on it, yes. See how I elaborated on that so you can't escape? Yes, you can't.
Kibbs, you
redirect-
tried elaborating a lot of things when you're drunk and you made them worse.
That was
He
one
did.
time, maybe twice. Who
It
knows?
was pretty funny.
Yeah, the entire stream is one time, I guess.
I can only remember parts of that stream. All I know is I don't want to try to remember it because I feel like I was being taken advantage of. That's the one feeling.
Yeah, you were.
When I was drunk, I was like, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Like I'm being.
No,
Yeah,
when you were
you
drunk, you
were.
were adamant about how eloquent you were speaking and how intelligent you are. And not
Yeah.
drunk
In
you were.
retrospect,
you're
when I was sleeping in my bed, I felt like the equivalent of like what it must feel like to be chained up and being raped verbally.
Because you were telling us about how you didn't really have a gag reflex when using a straw to drink alcohol.
This is upsetting. Don't remind me of
Hey,
these
you
things.
just put it in the back of your throat.
And
and
then
you
I
swallow.
remember you
Stop it.
mentioning that you had to use both hands to do it too.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's
You guys
true.
led this. This is something.
No. This is entirely you.
Yeah,
A
unprompted.
lot of it was not unprompted, but it didn't take much for kids to just keep digging.
Yeah. You got a lot of practice in getting better at swallowing too. That was another.
Yep. Sure. Whatever.
Indio's having big thinkies.
Yes, we do have all of the clips.
That is
in,
true, Blake.
in the
You
VC
also
show.
dared your chat kids to try to get you pregnant.
And
I was
that they
drunk.
couldn't.
Well, that's technically true biologically, so. Yeah,
Yes, but the implication of that.
I know. I understand that.
And then you were trying to figure out how you would win or how Albine would lose.
I'm glad I don't remember most of this stuff. I'm glad
The last drunk stream, Polly.
And Polly's like, wait, hold on. When is this?
God damn, Chatfish. Well, I think we've talked about all the Bunchcast subjects. I will check to see if Chatfishies have submitted any custom bucketfish articles.
I mean, we can talk about China some more and how the West is superior.
Stroke our massive American shows.
Now I'm just remembering
what
when
the
you played
fuck?
China in Hoi 4. It's like, if you want to be democratic, it's like, Jesus Christ, this is going to take till the end of the war.
Yep. Because you got to fix all the nightmarish problems of China.
To be fair, once you get there, like it's a powerhouse. Just understand you're going to be using tier 1 equipment unless you can lend lease it from someone else.
Now, chat bros, as my round little bucketfish that you are, you all agree with me at all times. Like, yeah, true, kid, we always agree with you. That's why we told we don't disagree with you. Looks at Blake, looks at Stone Age. Chat's like, whoa. Those who would not agree are enemies of the state. See, we're sounding a lot similar to that country we talked about. You see how you like it when the shoe's on the other foot, Chatfish. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the real question I have to discover.
Ollie says he's gotta watch the VOD, and he'll see you later. Also, please consider due process for community days. See you, Bolly. What is due process? That sounds familiar.
Due process? Destroy
Oh,
him.
this game.
What is it?
Uh,
Post it in the chat or I'll
think-
destroy you immediately. He's like, wait, don't do that. I want to live. Did you put it in the chat?
yes. It's less than $1. Yeah, it's on sale. Nice.
I shall open it up for chat bros. Or porkfish, as we call them. These are my pork chops. Pork chops.
Don't cause it.
Why not?
The big gimmick for the game is that it's procedurally generated maps.
Huh? Well, let me open this bad boy for Chatfish to gander at. Isn't this a community event possibility?
Maybe?
Or is this a single player thing?
It's multiplayer. It's PvP.
It's received pretty well, 80% to region, which is not bad.
It doesn't have the notification that Steam puts on the early access now, so it is getting updates. If a game gets abandoned, Steam actually notifies people now.
Oh,
on the page.
it's like a SWAT game.
It's like Rainbow Six Siege, but the main gimmick is that the maps are always procedurally generated. So it's not just, oh, I know I can camp this corner and shoot them when they spawn, because it's gonna be different every time you play.
It's only $1. That's not bad. That's actually incredible.
Well, it's $1 right now for the March 5th.
Let's take a look.
It could be interesting. I've looked at this game before, but
That is very much a SWAT map, yeah.
Are we going all out? Yeah. So they could do this. I don't think that they'll try to open the door.
Drawing on the map always is a super hot
yes,
thing.
you can actually plan beforehand.
Who's rocking what? Take an extra flash.
Yeah, this could be fun. I could see breaching, in a room where Bucky is and blasting Bucky to pieces in it.
No, Lucky. He'd be holed up in a corner waiting for someone to
Yeah.
go over round in.
This is probably
Correct.
a game he'd probably excel at. Yeah, this could be actually kind of interesting. The gunplay
I
doesn't
think
look
the reason
terrible.
I didn't get into this at all
It's
was
community.
well, early access, and as far as I could tell, it didn't have a community around it. So if you don't have people to play with, you don't really have people to play.
Because it's got procedural maps, you won't have to worry about map knowledge being a problem. Yeah.
Yep.
Because map knowledge is what makes shooters hard for new people to play, because they get fucked map knowledge wise. Now mechanics and certain knowledge will still be a factor though. It's Bucky's favorite game mode even. Nice. What's that called? Like capture and destroy something or blow something up?
Search and destroy.
Search and destroy. I mean, this game is basically just search and destroy the video game.
It is basically search and destroy, but the bomb's already planted.
The bomb's already planted. Racism. Bucky's still gonna wear you like a glove. Wow, simp. Buck simp. That's cruel and unusual chat bro behavior. Oh, I think we got one more thing.
War.
What was that?
Hibbs has it waiting in his gift box. Polly's apparently already sent it to you.
Oh, that was very kind of you. You didn't have to do that, but I really appreciate that, Polly.
I hope you got it when it was on sale, because it's $1
Yeah.
right now.
I shall definitely do that. Wait, it says Heretical Nerd sent me something, but I checked it and it's the same thing he already sent me.
It's just $1. I'll grab it. We can maybe test it out.
Huh, weird. I don't understand Discord sometimes. Oh, it's because my other Discord account didn't update. But yeah, this game could be a neat community event in the future. It's kind of like Call of Duty Ghosts with the search and destroy mode, Bucky. I don't know if you heard.
It's SWAT
I heard.
Siege.
Maybe.
It's under 10 gigs, so that's always nice.
Well, you can also tell Takashi thank you as well, because apparently his insisting is what got me a free game. I'll never sneeze at that. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at it. I'm going to put it on my follow thing so that I actually see news about it. All right, chat bros. It is time for...
Apparently it's similar to Dota.
Yeah, that's similar thing I never believed, by the way. Like it's
because you can put any tag on your game.
Yep.
I know. It's funny where it's like these are not the same genres at all.
Yep. The tag system and the similar list thing is a neat concept, but requires each game to be looked at case by case. Actually,
the issue is I don't think the companies themselves should be able to put those tags on there. I don't know how it should be per se. It just, if you let the companies do it, they're just going to put whatever tags they think are going to benefit the game.
Correct.
So to get some membership. Thank you for giving membership. I guess you finally have come around to agreeing with me.
I do find it funny, however, when a community massively proposes a tag and it's just absolutely wrong.
Well, Sniper Commando, today is Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yes, we'll be doing Ghosts, playing Search and Destroy, Zombies, and blasting each other. All chatfish are welcome to come play. Look at Stone Age, being rebellious. Don't forget to join the Discord and get your rank, Stone Age. Wouldn't mind to miss out on what you could be seeing. Yes.
There's in fact a new post for people to check out in the chamber.
That's true, there should be 2 new posts. I think Palo, or unless Palo hasn't posted his second one yet.
He is not.
Grumpy Ratu-chan has been a member for 22 months. Have some member money. Raper's choice.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
Grumpy. Thank you for the support, little Grumpster.
Rapey man putting that.
That's a good point. Before we wrap up today's Bunchcast, there's actually an interesting bit of news I almost fucking forgot. It's sort of like a little tiny thing, but Hogwarts Legacy is a really good game that you should not buy at $60. You should wait for it to go on sale. But it's...
NWO.
It's actually pretty fun. What's the word? This game is getting a little bit of a DLC upcoming, and they did actually announce that the game is actually getting a sequel. I was actually surprised that this game was actually not bad. But then again, Avalanche Software seems to actually kind of know what they're doing. I actually hope that they really push the murder angle and the fact that you can kill people, because that was Super cool. Did you see this game, Bucky? It was fun.
Literally
Yes, you
a
did. Oh my god.
professor
Yeah, you
from
were-
Hogwarts
The
with
fact
a
that they're cutting
student.
out. Go ahead.
No, I was just, it's like the fact that the game couldn't actually kick you out of Hogwarts
Yeah, because it was
is
break
just
the
all I
game.
was gonna say.
I still enjoy the mods. People just give you a gun.
Avada Kedavra.
I just like how you
Yeah,
do that
that's
next to
just that.
plot-centric characters, and they're like, "Where did you learn that? Never do that again." 5 seconds later, Adaba Kedavra. Stop doing that! Stop doing that!
There should be like an exasperated teacher that's just trying to get you to stop, and he knows you're the chosen one. He can't really interfere with what you're doing.
It's like, God damn it!
It would be what would be better is if, like, listen, you little shit. I can't kick you out, but don't you dare do that in fucking public.
This game I thought was gonna be bad, but it was actually surprisingly fun. And now that they've
fucking
released,
nerd.
listen, it's
It's still a shame there wasn't any Quidditch.
if it's good game, it's good game. There's so much hentai ever.
Here's the thing. If they couldn't actually make a fun Quidditch game mode, I'm perfectly fine with them basically.
No, I
just
think they
saying,
could.
"Look, we're not doing it."
I think this is the reason why. That Quidditch game. And now that Quidditch Champions game is out, they won't have to wait for it anymore. It's
Yep.
not an amazing game, but it's a fun game. It's one of the few open world sandbox games I played that I actually had fun with. And those are like super rare nowadays. This game, Just Cause 3, fucking Kingdom Come Deliverance, like sandbox go around do stuff games, there are not a lot of them anymore. Like we used to have so many back in the day, like Mercenaries Crackdown, fucking GTA, fucking Red Dead Redemption. God damn. Now we just never see them. Red Faction.
I want a like a Hogwarts like universe game, but set in America.
American, yeah. Honestly, it would be cool if they
Instead of Avada Kedavra, it's Alakablam.
Yeah, like a blam. Yeah.
You bring Muggle weapons to school. Like, honestly, treat it like, okay, I know they would never do this because they don't want to make Muggle weapons like a thing too much, but it would be really, really cool if they went with the Bullies game thing where you go back to your, like, regular home in between each season, right? And you could smuggle things in from the Muggle world into the Wizarding world. And so you could actually smuggle in a gun
Well,
and then, like,
So
kill
my
somebody
issue,
with it.
my issue being with that is that they view them as lesser
Primitive.
weapons.
Yeah,
Which is
And-
funny because they're not, but whatever.
they have a superiority complex.
Because I know a certain Blondie was like, "Oh, how crazy mentioning guns in the Wizarding world. How unique of an argument." And I'm like, well, yeah, but they haven't done it yet. So
Mm-hmm. If you're talking some of, like, the ridiculous shit like regular people have come up with
Bucky.
compared to like the Wizarding world, like sure, the
you
Wizarding world.
mentioned them too, Kiss.
I know.
Spelling.
Because you're quoting me, but making fun of me from an earlier thing I said like
Yeah,
2 years ago.
yeah.
But the thing
Yeah.
is, yes, the thing is that's still true. It's just if they do it, they should actually the game should do it in a way where you actually like do it in an interesting way. Now in this particular case, this was what 18th century, so it'd be like very primitive, but it would be interesting to see the weapon. Larger whiskey. Doesn't require me to yell out what I'm about to do.
Because, like, imagine like some of the bullshit you can do where, kind of like what Ron's brothers did near the end of the books, where they have this thing where it's like it started as a joke, but it became hyper serious, where you can like enchant ammunition or dumb shit like that.
Hold on, chat. You understand that the Deathly is it the Deathly Hollows is the last one, or is it what was the last book in Harry Potter?
I don't think it was the Deathly Hallows. I think that was like the one right.
I think that was the
before.
second to last.
Is it
Yeah.
not the Half Blood Prince? There was one last
Harry Potter
one.
gets bad after the first 3, so I stopped reading and watching. There's only 3 good Harry Potter.
Oh no, you were right. The last Harry Potter book is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I thought
Okay.
it was-
So between the Half Blood Prince and the Deathly Hallows, the Wizarding World breaks its own canon by saying, "Oh yeah, you know what? By the way, you don't even have to say the fucking magic spell. You can just think it and then cast it."
Yeah, that
Oh,
which
yeah, that's right.
undermines
If you think-
everything. That's
if
why.
you think
Yeah,
it hard enough, because that's one of the reasons why
the battle happens the way it
Dobbies
does.
and Dobbies, like other creatures, like they can do magic. It's just the wand is the focal point,
Yep.
and
And
how they do it is via the mind and shit like that.
because what happened is that Harry like was going to do the killing curse silently in his head, and he I think he's either pointed it at Snape or he pointed at Malfoy. I can't remember who. I think it was Malfoy. He pointed at, and Snape fucking disarmed him.
It's like, I think it was pretty much immediately after when Malfoy armed Dumbledore.
Killed
yeah.
Dumbledore. Yeah.
Dumbledore. Well, first he disarmed him, then he killed him.
Yeah.
Gunfox says, "Kibbs, order your pizza, you fat lazy cat trap."
Gunfox, you belong to me. He's like, no! And I slide him into the box. Like, damn, he's gone, boys. We lost a good chatfish.
There's a box now?
But yeah, so Hogwarts Legacy is getting a sequel. That's good. Hopefully don't fuck it up. It was definitely a good game, but it's not a $60 game. It's like a $40, $30 game, in my opinion.
I can't wait for Hogwarts Legacy 2 to be 70.
Oh, God.
With the
It's
streamer
cost right now.
tax.
But this
It's
is
costing, yeah.
60.
Holy fuck!
Yep.
It's like 2 years old, isn't it?
Yeah, it's February 10th,
Yeah, something
2023.
like that.
Yeah. Damn, it's almost as valuable as Call of Duty games.
This game was like one of the first Dono Wars I think we ever had on the channel.
I know, it was funny.
For the soul of that one kid in Slytherin.
Yep, because
Whether or not we turned him over or not.
it was our Dono War that inspired like several other of my other friends to be like, "What the fuck? How did you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know." Chad just started fighting each other. It's like, so war is good, and it's like war is based.
War is profitable.
What's wrong, chat bros? Are you scared? Like, yeah, we'll be. Yeah, we'll.
Does Hogwarts Legacy 2 have a Steam page yet?
No. They've just basically confirmed it. Well, they announced that Hogwarts Legacy, the reason why this matters for gaming news is because it's getting modding support for the first one. They're releasing some additional content before they start working or talk about the next one. And they basically also thanked the community and they thanked the modders for all their hard work. And that's why they're giving the game like proper modding stuff now, or modding tools or whatever. Which honestly, PR wise, is everything I want to see. I actually have nothing but nice things to say. That's good to see. More of that. Now, if we're to mention things, it's important to criticize things when things need to be talked about. This game did have some DEI stuff in it too, though. And I'm not going to ignore that. Specifically, the one.
Trans.
Oh, I forgot about the. Yeah. It had
Also, that one like foreign exchange student from Africa.
Yep, that was the one I was remembering. The foreign exchange student from Africa that has inferior magic, and which is canon that their magic is inferior, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like that didn't make any sense, and yeah, that's just bad and dumb. So it's a good game. I still recommend it, but like I always say, honesty is important because we should call out things when we see it. All right, chat bros, I am gonna get myself a nice steamy pizza. Ooh. And we will see you in the community event stream, which will be in about an hour or so. So see you then, Chatfish. Thank you again for hanging out. Thank you for your generous donations, and thank you for hanging out with this conversation, too. We'll see you in a little bit, chat bros. Take care.
See
Bye
you.
now.